Hey guys, welcome to the channel. As you see in the thumbnail, what if Naruto raised by female Kyuubi since childhood and marry her? Before I start, please do support for more awesome content and subscribe my channel and like this video. Go support and follow the Rinoti for writing that awesome fanfic, and also make sure to comment on this story, link in the description. Let's start this video. Minato Namikaze, the 4th Hokage aka Konoha's Yellow Flash, was standing on top of Little Hill, outside of Konoha's walls, face to face with strongest bitch Kyuubi no Kitsune, holding his newborn son Naruto. Beside him was standing 3rd Hokage and watching him with sad eyes. When all of this is over, I want you to tell villagers to see him as a hero for saving our village from demons. And one more thing I want to ask you is to make sure that he and his mother are safe. Also, I left a letter and all my belongings to Naruto alone, which includes my family mansion with all and everything in it, money that will be transferred from my account to his. Farewell and keep everybody safe, my friend. Said Minato and disappeared in Yellow Flash, leaving sad again to be Hokage. Flashback 10 hours ago. Kushina Uzumaki just gave birth to her son Naruto and was resting in her bed while Minato was holding him and talking to 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen about how happy he was that he is father. But suddenly Anbu with a dog mask burst into the room, almost waking up little Naruto. Hokage-sama, Sarutobi-sama, I am very sorry for interrupting you, but we have an emergency situation. Kyuubi no Kitsune is heading toward Konoha, and by the look of it, it will be here in several hours. Said Anbu. What? Both Hokage and ex-Hokage yelled together. What Kyuubi is doing in Hai no Kuni? Asked a confused Sarutobi. Never mind that now, Saruto-sama, we need to think how to stop it from destroying Konoha. Said Minato to Hiruzen, who by now was already thinking about the plan to stop Kyuubi. After 2 hours of discussing the plan, Minato suggested using sealing. You can't be serious, Minato. How will you seal the strongest bitch in the world? And even if you find some way to do it, where will you seal it? It will break free from anything in a matter of minutes, said the already worried ex-Hokage. I am serious, Sarutobi. It's the only option we got. And for your first question, I already found a way to do it. I was working on this seal for a while now. It's my own upgraded version of one of ancient Uzumaki seals that will allow me to summon Shinigami, but it will cost me my life. I already added it into Forbidden Scroll after Minato said that. Hiruzen grimaced. And for the second question, I won't seal it into anything, rather I will seal it into someone. While he was saying the last part, he was looking at Naruto all the time. After the 3rd Hokage saw this, he suddenly understood what Minato was talking about. Minato, you can't possibly be thinking about sealing it into Naruto, do you? When Sarutobi said this, Minato's head fell down and he was trying to avoid eye contact. What other choice do we have? He is the only newborn we have, and do you think I can ask any other parent to sacrifice their own child when I am not ready to do it myself? As sad as it was, Hiruzen had to agree with Minato. Okay then, while you will be preparing everything for sealing, we will try to hold Kyuubi as long as we can, said 3rd Hokage as he exited room to prepare for battle. Flashback and current time. When the 4th Hokage arrived on the battlefield, he saw hundreds of people lying dead on the ground and mighty bitch destroying everything in its path. Thinking quickly, he summoned Toad Boss Gamabunta. Minato, why did you summon me here? As Gamabunta started looking around, he couldn't believe what he was seeing. Minato, do you seriously expect me to fight Kyuubi? Asked a shocked Toad Boss. Minato just looked at Gamabunta with a serious look. Oh crap. You are serious? Said Boss Summon as he prepared for one of his toughest battles. Don't worry, Bunta, I don't expect you to defeat Kyuubi. I need you to just hold it back so I can seal it in my son. After Minato said this, Gamabunta's eyes filled with sadness. You're not going to survive sealing, aren't you? Asked Bunta, but deep down he already knew the answer. No, I won't, but I am Hokage of Konoha and it's my duty to protect this village and all people that are living there, and that's what I am about to do. Said the famous Yellow Flash with determination. Well then, Minato, let's kick ass. Hey you furball, come and get a piece of me. Shouted Gamabunta as he dashed toward Kyuubi. While Gamabunta was fighting off Kyuubi, Minato was going through hundreds of complex hand seals. When he was about to do the last hand seal, he just dropped his summon to the ground. As he landed, he finished last hand seal, and that moment Shinigami appeared above the 4th Hokage's head. When Minato saw Shinigami, he bit his thumb and started going through a couple of hand seals yet again. When he finished, there was white smoke, and when it cleared there was a big scroll with Toad's head on the end of it. You will be holding the key for my Shikifkin seal. Give it to Jiraiya and tell him to give it to Naruto when he is ready to control Kyuubi's power. Toad's head on top of the scroll just nodded at what he was told to do. Good, now it's time to end this. When he said this, arm shot out from his stomach, grabbed Kyuubi and started pulling it into Minato. When all of Kyuubi's power was extracted, Minato yelled at Fkin. Suddenly Shinigami raised its hand while holding a knife in it and cut Kyuubi's power in two. One part of it was sealed into Minato and second into Naruto. That moment created the first Jinchuriki or strongest Bijk in the world of Kyuubi no Kitsune, nine-tailed demon fox. Farewell my son, protect Konoha and be strong. And sorry for placing this burden on you. This were last words of beloved 4th Hokage. Equals 5 years later equals. Young boy, around 5 years old, is running through the night streets of Konoha for his life, being chased by civilians and ninjas. This boy is Naruto Uzumaki, Jinchuriki of Kyuubi no Kitsune. He is average height for his age, has spiky unruly blonde hair, ocean blue eyes, and 6 whiskers marks in his cheeks, 3 on each side. He is wearing white t-shirt with an orange swirl on his chest, black baggy shorts and blue sandals. Shit. I shouldn't have stayed so long in Ichiraku's raiment stand. If I won't get away from them now, then I am totally gonna die, he thought while running from the mob. Suddenly he saw an alley on the right side of the street and tried to hide there. But unfortunately when he entered the alley, after a couple seconds of running, he was facing a dead end. As he turned around, he saw about 50 people with butcher knives, daggers and many other metal objects that could be pretty dangerous. Why are they doing this? I never did anything bad to any of you. He shouted with fear evident in his voice. You killed our families, destroyed our village. You are just filthy demon. Yelled one of the villagers. There were multiple shouts like kill the demon. Let's finish what 4th started. And Kyuubi must die. When he heard people yelling this, his only thought was, oh, I'm so dead. Not a second later, after yelling, cursing and shouting died down, everyone started to attack Naruto with punches, kicks, and everything they could think of. All poor blonde could do was cry out in pain, all the while begging them to stop. But people weren't listening, they just tortured him without giving any mercy. What's going on here? Everyone turned their heads, only to see enraged 3rd Hokage standing in the alley. Hokage-sama, we are just doing what 4th couldn't, we are killing demons. Answered a tall man standing in front of the mob. This of course angered old Hokage even more. Anbu, take everybody to Ibiki and tell him not to hold back. All ninjas that were here tonight are permanently stripped from their ranks, said fuming Hokage, all the while giving everybody a look that could scare Orochimaru shirtless. We're so screwed, everybody thought in union. When Hiruzen looked at where Naruto was lying, and all he could see was a 5-year-old boy that was head to toe in blood, his blonde hair now partially red, almost every bone broken, and cuts all over his body. By the look of it, boy was already unconscious. Anbu, fast take boy to the hospital and tell them to heal him immediately or they will be executed otherwise. Said Hokage, showing his worry for the boy and anger for not being able to protect him. Equals Naruto's mindscape equals. When Naruto woke up, he saw that he was in a sewer with water on the floor. He did the only thing he could do in this situation, he sighed. Great. Not only did those assholes beat me up, but they also threw me into some sewer. Just great. Now how do I get out of here? Suddenly he heard some kind of a growling sound, resembling some wild animal. Having no other way to go, he went to the place where sounds were coming from. After several minutes of walking around, he finally came upon some kinda cage with paper in the middle of the door and kanji for seal on it. He couldn't see anything, or rather anyone that was inside, because of how dark it was inside. When he came closer to the gate, he saw a pair of blood-red slitted eyes looking at him. After several seconds he could clearly see dark orange fur, black claws and the most noticeable trait, 9 big tails swishing behind it. Kyuubi? Damn, you're huge. Said Naruto in awe. Well, it's not every day that you are able to see 9-tailed demon foxes. Interesting reaction, I might say. I expected you to be shaking in fear by now, said Kyuubi with amusement. Well, I kinda guessed already that you and I will be somewhat linked to each other, you know, people calling me demon and all. There was a bit of sadness in his voice when he said the last part. No, actually I don't. You see, I just woke up when you came here, so I don't remember anything after being sealed into you. I will look through your memories to see what your life was like and to see what was happening while I was sealed here. No doubt they are worshipping him for defeating the great 9-tailed fox, but before that, I will change to my human form, so it would be more comfortable to talk to each other, said Kyuubi, as a red glow started to swirl around it. Wait. Can you see my memories? And that means that you are sealed inside me. When the red chakra around Kyuubi disappeared, Naruto's jaw dropped to the ground and he was gaping like a fish in the open air. There stood a beautiful woman about 18 years old, about 5'7" tall with long blood-red hair with a tint of orange coming down her waist, a heart-shaped face with the same color eyes as her hair, a D cup and a perfect body. She was wearing black kimono with red foxes on it, hugging her body, leaving very little to imagination. Seeing him in clear shock, she smirked. What? Didn't expect great Kyuubi no Kitsune to be a woman? She asked, all the while smirking. No, it's not that. I mean it is partially, but means this ... and ... adderg. Naruto shut up as fast as he could, trying not to get more embarrassed in front of her. She just silently stood there, amused with the show that he was unknowingly giving her. Okay, you can relax now. This of course helped to calm Naruto down. But enough about me, I want to see how your life has been so far, and don't interrupt me. You're not going to like what you'll see, he whispered softly with a saddened tone so she wouldn't hear, but she still heard him, thanks to her sensitive ears. When she heard it, she instantly got curious. For the next 5 minutes or so, she was viewing his memories. To Naruto it looked like she was meditating or fell asleep, but he didn't dare to interrupt as she asked him not to. When she finished, there were many emotions evident on her face: sadness, pity, sorrow and many other emotions that Naruto had hard time understanding, but mostly there was only anger. Let me out. Let me out, so I could rip these little humans apart limb by limb. A furious Kyuubi started to scream. At first, Naruto was scared shitless and backed away a bit from her, but his eyes softened when he understood why she was angry and screaming like a madman. A woman. After she calmed down, he had many questions he wanted to ask, so he tried to talk to her. Hey, are you okay? He asked softly as he stepped closer to the cage. No, I'm not. How could they do this to a mere child? And they dare to call me a demon? They are even worse than demons. As she continued her rant about pitiful humans, which by the way already started to annoy Naruto, she completely forgot that she wasn't alone. Hey, calm down and let's try to talk. I got many things that I want to ask you. He tried to bring her back to earth from her daydreaming-like state. Oh yeah, sorry about that. You're right, we're stuck with each other, so let's try to talk like civilized humans. Mean human and bitch. She responded a little bit irritated that he interrupted her. First and obvious question is, why did you attack Konoha? You are obviously not a mindless demon, like everybody thinks you are, that destroys everything it sees. So it can't be the reason, why then? He said while curiously glancing at her. She just mumbled something about stupid pitiful humans. Reason I attacked your village is no. It's not my village. These stupid villagers only want me dead, so why the hell should it be my village? I see. Well, at least you're not some idiot that is running around, wearing orange jumpsuit and being friendly with everybody that tries to kill him. Anyway, as I was saying before you interrupted me, she slightly glared at him. He just nervously laughed at what she said, while sweating bullets. I attacked because I was controlled, but to be more specific, I fell for Genjutsu. And I'm ashamed to say that a mere human could do that, not just this time, which is no less embarrassing thing either, but second time. And when I broke free, all I could see was your father along with Shinigami, sealing me inside you. But wait, when was the first time that somebody controlled you, and who it was? He didn't catch the thing about his father right away, because his brain was already working overload. First time was when this village was just created and there was a fight between Madara Uchiha and Hashirama Senju for the title of first Hokage. During the fight, that damned Uchiha somehow summoned me and placed me under high-level Genjutsu using his eternal magic Sharinganems. It appears to be that Senju used one of his Mokuton on me, thus helping me to break free from Genjutsu. I learned later that his Mokuton could surpass demonic Imki. When I was not controlled anymore, I realized where I was and in what situation I was for what it was worth. So I made a deal with Hashirama that would benefit each of us. Deal was a very simple one: we would team up and kill Uchiha. Of course I had my own reasons, as he had his own. After we killed him, I befriended Hashirama. He was a nice guy by the way, and not so bad looking, too bad he was already married. Okay, Kyuubi, he was suddenly cut off. The Kain. What? He asked confused. My name is Kain. Kyuubi is just stupid name that you pitiful humans gave me. Actually, you are second human that I told my name to. First was Hashi-kun, if you're wondering. Okay, Kain-chan, thanks for telling me, I'm glad you did. So what you're saying is that there was some crazy Uchiha that fought the first Hokage with some kinda superpower that can control you. And that you and Hashirama Senju, one of the founders of Konoha, were friends. And also that this Madara person survived and summoned you again to destroy Konoha. Am I right so far? She just nodded in response. I see. What do you honestly expect me to believe in this bullshit? She almost face-palmed herself when she heard that. You are talking to the strongest bitch in the world that is sealed in your gut and you still don't believe in what I said? She asked with an irritated tone, but she understood why he wouldn't. After all, it's not easy believing someone right away after the life he had, and demons nonetheless. I guess you have a point. Hold on. Did you say that you were sealed by my father? So that means that the fourth Hokage is my father. He was dumbstruck and shocked when he realized what she said earlier. His own father sealed Kyuubi inside him. Yes, you heard me right, blonde Hokage was your father. As to how I know this, I heard him saying something along the lines of sorry for placing this burden on you, my son, and escaping the curse of paperwork while he was dying was her answer to his unasked question. When he heard this, a lone tear fell from his eye. His whole life he was wondering who his parents were, and now he learned that his father was the very same person that sealed Kyuubi inside him, Minato Namikaze himself. Kain-chan, do you know anything about my mother? He asked softly, hoping to get as much information about his parents as he could, because every time he would ask his Jiji, Hokage, about his parents, he would get the same answer: I only know that they were strong shinobi. Sorry kid, but I don't. But from what I can tell from your DNA, she was Uzumaki from Uzumaki clan that lived in Uzushiogakure, in Yuzu no Kuni, that was neighbor with Hai no Kuni. But sadly village was destroyed because Uzumakis were very advanced in sealing, and people were afraid of them. Naruto frowned slightly after hearing what beautiful redhead said. Thank you for telling me at least a little bit of information about my mother. But how do you know all this? Well, after that incident with Madara, I started learning everything I could about humans, rather than just destroy everything with my giant body. It was jutsu, anatomy, history, etc. But the thing I enjoyed the most was experimenting on people, with their DNA, blood, body and everything I could. And let me tell you, they were some extreme level experiments, not as extreme as that Orochimaru fella was doing, but they were extreme nonetheless. So what do we do now? For starters, we will try not to get killed anymore. As for the real thing, I will be training you and helping with many other things. She eyed him with a glint in her eyes and an evil grin plastered on her face. That moment Naruto felt like a piece of meat in front of a hungry predator. Why do I need to train anyway? Oh, I don't know, maybe because most of the villagers hate you and want nothing more than to see you dead, and the fact that you hold strongest Bijk in all elemental nations. She asked with an oh so confused expression on her face and innocent eyes. Okay, I get it. Geez. So when do we get started? He asked with excitement in his voice. As soon as you wake up. And don't tell any of this to the old monkey, he would think that I'm controlling you or something. I would also suggest you to leave this damn village, but seeing as you can't survive on your own yet, I wouldn't do that. Thanks for advice, and I'll be looking forward to our training, but it seems I need to go now, so he was cut off by a Kain when he was about to say his goodbye. One more thing before you go, if you want to talk with me while not in your medscape, just think about me, and then think what you want to say. If you're talking out loud, people will think that you're nuts or that mighty Kyuubi is breaking free. She also mumbled something about stupid cockroaches that call themselves humans under her breath, but he just ignored that. I'll keep that in mind. Bye Kain-chan, he said smiling as he disappeared from his mindscape. See you later kid, she waved him goodbye as one thought was going through her head, I'm so getting him when he's older. It was after Naruto left his mindscape and woke up that he started to slowly open his blue eyes, and from what he understood, he was lying in bed. When he finally fully opened them, he saw a white ceiling that he was very familiar with. He already knew he would be in hospital again. He shifted a bit in his bed so he would be able to see if there was anybody in the room except him. When he looked around, he saw an old man sitting in the corner of the room, waiting until he would wake up. He was none other than the third Hokage himself. Hey old man, how's it going? Asked the blonde kid, smiling at Hokage. Old Hokage of course smiled back. I am fine, thank you Naruto-kun. Are you feeling alright right now? You should rest more. Asked Sarutobi, concerned about Naruto's health. Is he in with me or does he really want to know if I'm feeling alright after being almost killed? Of course I am. How can I even be Hokage and take that hat from you if I would be just resting here, doing nothing at all? He said a bit loud to make his point, putting his best fake smile. Yeah right, me Hokage. And Kyuubi is a fluffy bunny. He knew perfectly well that there was no chance in hell that he would be Hokage in this village, not like he even wanted to be. He then heard a light snicker in the back of his mind. Aka-chan, he asked inwardly, hoping that everything that he had seen and heard wasn't just a wild dream. Yes Naruto-kun, I can hear you perfectly well. Seems like that mind link that I tried to create worked just fine. Now Naruto, remember that I said that I would help you to become stronger. He nodded in his mind. We need to leave the village for a couple hours because we need to start your training as soon as we can so we can survive. Because next time, they might not be weak civilians. And if I am right, somebody will even try to kidnap you to use you for their own needs. Plus I don't want my container to be weak or people will think that I'm weak and I don't want my reputation to be ruined. You know Naruto's sweat dropped in his mind. Your reputation was ruined when you got sealed in me by a human, I guess you're right, she said sadly and sighed. Okay, enough about that, you need to get out of the village. Now repeat after me. Hey old man, can I ask you a favor? Hokage instantly got interested in what the child wanted to ask him. Well Naruto-kun, it depends on what you want me to do. I am Hokage, but I can only do so much. As you know, yesterday was my birthday and I was going to your office so I could ask for permission to leave the village for a couple of hours, but then this meant people started to chase me and I don't know why he said that in such a childish manner. Old man frowned when memories of the past day came to him, he just smiled sadly. Why did you want to leave the village of Naruto-kun? He asked somewhat curiously. When I was on top of Monument the other day, I saw a clearing with lake and waterfall not so far from the village, and all children going there with their parents, so I wanted to go there on my birthday. Because there is nobody who would take me, he said while faking sadness in his voice. Now he will no doubt agree this trick works every time like magic. He started smirking inwardly and thanking Kami for blessing him with his acting skills. This of course had the desired effect on old Hokage as he looked at Naruto with sadness, sympathy and regret. Sarutobi as expected didn't see through his act. And of course he didn't know that the reason Naruto could trick him so easily was all thanks to him. Flashback 2 years ago. Naruto just turned 3. It was a week before he would be kicked out from the orphanage. He was patiently waiting for his Jiji to come and pick him up from the orphanage. Every year on his birthday, Hokage would take Naruto with him and allow him to spend all day with him, doing things like eating ramen or watching him do his paperwork in his office. When Naruto saw Hokage coming from afar, his face lit up. "Hey Jiji," he shouted excitedly. Old man just watched in amusement as the little blonde kid ran at lightning speed and hugged him with his little arms. "Hello Naruto-kun, how have you been?" "Come on old man, let's go eat ramen," he said as he started bouncing up and down, unable to hold his excitement. Hiruzen just smiled and complied. When they finished eating ramen, term more like Naruto eating dozen bowls of ramen and Hokage watching him with pure shock evident on his face, they went to Hokage office to spend their time alone, enjoying each other's company. "Hey Jiji, you're right. What is Hokage supposed to do?" asked Naruto while glancing at his grandfather figure. "There are many things that Hokage must do. But the most important thing he is obligated to do is to protect the people of Konoha. Of course there are things like politics, mission arrangement, and how could you forget all that paperwork," he said last part with such a venom in his voice that could send shivers down Madara's spine. "Oh, so you are protecting all the people in this village? You must be really strong Jiji." "Actually yes Naruto, Kage is the strongest ninja in the whole village," said Hokage proudly. Only word that could describe Naruto's current state was disbelief. "Old man, you are the strongest ninja in the village, no way." Amused Hokage just chuckled lightly at the kid's attitude. "I may not seem like it, but I actually am. Remember Naruto, ninja's most powerful weapon is deception," said Hiruzen seriously. Naruto didn't show it, but he took this lesson to his heart and decided never to show his real strength and intelligence unless it was absolutely necessary. Flashback end equals. "Okay Naruto, you can go. But don't go too far or you will get lost and won't be able to find a way back," said Naruto's so-called Jiji. "Oh and old man, remember you told me once that there are people in masks that are watching everybody and protecting them. What were they called Marbu-sambu?" As he continued his clueless 5-year-old act, Hokage started chuckling at what the boy was saying. "They are Anbu Naruto. So what about the masked curious Hokage? I just wanted to ask you to tell them not to follow me when I go to that clearing. I just want to be there alone like all the other children with their parents," he said while looking with his little oh so innocent eyes at the Hokage. Hiruzen really wanted to say no and tell him that this is for his own good, but when he looked in those eyes of his, the only thing he could do was sigh in defeat and agree to what the little blonde kid asked. "Is he really that old that he can't even see through my act? And he is supposed to be the strongest ninja in the village PFFT. Oh well, here comes the finishing blow that I am sure will be a significant blow to his pride for not being able to protect oh so innocent child from outside world," as he finished his trail of thoughts. He suddenly jumped from his bed and tackled old Hokage into a hug. "Yeah. Thank you Jiji. Now when I tell other kids that I've been in such a good place all alone, they won't be making fun of me for not having parents," he said in his happy-go-lucky attitude, making Sarutobi become very sad and angry at himself at the same time. "Okay, bye Jiji. I need to go pack some food or I will be starving when I get there," he said with his foxy grin, releasing Hokage from his loving hug and running out from the room to his old apartment that Hokage gave him year after he was kicked out from the orphanage. Equals in Naruto's apartment equals. "So what do you want me to do now, Aka-chan? And why do we need to leave the village?" he asked, wondering what Kyuubi would want him to do that he needs to leave the village for. "Not that I'm complaining or anything, it's always good to walk around without anyone glaring at you, just pack some new clothes and food, it must be enough for a couple of hours. When you exit the village, go in the direction of that clearing you mentioned. When you will be far enough, check if nobody followed you while you were walking, and I know an old monkey said that he won't send anybody, but better safe than sorry. If nobody followed you, then try to find some kind of a cave or some place surrounded by the rocks where you can hide for a while. Do you understand what you must do?" His answer was a simple nod with his head. He also wanted to ask why she wanted him to do all this, but decided against it. "Okay, I am going to take a short nap," Wake me up when you get there, I'm sure you will like what I have planned for you. And with that said, she cut their mental link and went to sleep in her cage. Equals at the gates of Konoha equals. When he was nearing the gates of Konoha, he saw two men in uniforms sitting in a cabin that was on the right side of the road. When he came closer to the gate and was about to leave, he heard one of the men calling out for him. "Hey kid, where are you going? People are not allowed to leave the village without Hokage's permission. I got permission from Hokage earlier today to leave for a couple hours and I'm going on a picnic to the clearing not so far from here, you know, one with a lake and waterfall," he said with innocent ocean blue eyes. When Chunin couldn't detect a lie coming from this kid, he sighed. "Okay kid, I'm going to believe you on this one, but I will still ask Hokage about this, and if he hasn't given you permission to leave, then you will be in for hell out of problems," the man said with a threatening voice. "Okay mister, thank you and have a good day." When he was far enough so nobody would see him, evil grin appeared on his face. "Oh, I am so going to prank his sorry ass for threatening me." After about 30 minutes, he found a rather deep cave a couple miles away from the shithole of the village that Konoha is. When he went deep into the cave, he decided that it was time to wake Kain up. "Hey Kain-chan, we're here, I found the cave as you wanted me to," she just grunted in response. After a couple of minutes of silence, Naruto grew tired of this. So he did the only logical thing he could think of that would wake her up. "Fidgeby, wake thee up. Yondaime came to laugh at you, and he is here," he screamed in his mind. "Wahoo! Yondaime? Where? Tell me, where is he?" She started to shout at him, but stopped when she heard Naruto rolling on the floor and laughing his ass off. "Hey! Why did you do that?" she angrily demanded. Sorry, I tried to wake you up, but you just ignored me. So I decided to give you some good wake-up call, I really couldn't resist doing it. But it was worth it." She just HMPH'd in response. "Okay, so did you manage to find the cave?" "Yes, and at the moment we are deep inside it." "But good, now sit down in a comfortable position and relax," she said as she pulled him into his mindscape. When he looked around, he saw a familiar cage with a cane behind the bars. "Now that you are here, I will explain everything to you. But first let me ask you this, what do you know about the ninja clans that are living in Konoha?" "Well, from what Jiji told me, I know that there are Aburam, Nara, Yamanaka, Akamichi, Inyazuka, Hokage and Uchiha. Each clan has its own abilities that only people from that clan can use." Kain nodded in agreement. "Okay good, can you tell me what those abilities are?" "I don't know much about their abilities, just a little bit that I remember from what an old geezer told me about them. Inyazuka clan has something to do with dogs, Aburam with bugs, Nara's abilities are somewhat related to using shadow, and they are very smart, Akamichi's are strong because of their size, Yamanaka's can do something with your mind. And Hokage's and Uchiha's abilities are somewhat linked to their eyes. That's all I know," he finished with a heavy sigh, ashamed of his lack of knowledge. She instantly understood what was wrong with him. "Hey relax, it's okay, no need to be ashamed of yourself because of this. You're only 5 for love of God, I don't want a detailed report on each member of the clan G's. And besides, from what I've seen from your memories, most of the time you didn't even have time to study, as you were trying not to die." Hearing this, Naruto immediately cheered up and a genuine smile appeared on his face, which was rare for him. Kain-chan just smiled back, which caused Naruto to blush for some unknown reason. "An. Come on, he's only 5, even if he is mature for his age, he doesn't have any experience in relationship. Okay, now listen and try to memorize everything that I'll say, okay?" The answer for her request was just a slight nod. "Do you remember what I said about me learning everything about humans yesterday? Well, I wasn't talking only about Konoha, but that's not the point. What I'm trying to say is that I know what every ninja in every hidden village is capable of, and I especially learned many things about Konoha, seeing as I was summoned by Konoha ninja, and I made my first friend there." Naruto's eyes almost popped out of their sockets when he heard that she knew everything about ninjas in every hidden village. "Now let me explain about clans that are living in Konoha. In Yazuka, this clan specializes mostly on their tracking and taijutsu skills. They have enhanced senses, thanks to their nin dogs that are living with them. They always work with their partner or partners, which are their nin dogs. They have several clan that can be used with or without their nin dog's help. After years of living side by side, they developed a skill that allows them to talk with their partner. So when you're fighting in Yazuka, it always will be 1 versus 2 or even more. Are mostly harsh and hot-headed. They also have fang-like tattoos on each cheek and feral look. Aburam ninjas in the Aburam clan mostly rely on bugs that are living in their bodies. But they are obviously not the usual type of bugs. Those are bugs that can eat your chakra, they are called Kikage bugs. They too got their own clan that can be performed using their bugs. Aburams are calm and collected people that are taking actions relying on their logic. Also, one more major defining trait of the Aburam clan is that all of its members wear dark sunglasses that hide their eyes, as well as wear clothing that covers up most of their body. Nara clan has a very unique ability to manipulate shadow. They can do many things with this ability, from paralyzing their opponent with their shadow to adding dozens of holes to your body. Also, it's true that most men from the Nara clan are considered geniuses, but they are the laziest ninja in Konoha, with almost no motivation. But don't be fooled by this, when the situation calls for it, they can get very serious about defeating their opponent. They also have some kind of a connection with deers and some knowledge in medicine, and are considered best strategists in Konoha. The Yamanaka members of Yamanka clan are skilled with mind control, and that is what makes them best ninja for intelligence gathering and spying missions. Usually Yamanakas are working as interrogators in Konoha. Only things that are common for their clan except are bleached blonde hair and bright blue eyes. Akimichi clan has very unusual ninjutsu that allows them to convert their calories to chakra, hence why everybody in Akimichi is so fat. On the side note, don't call Akimichi fat ever, they get very mad when somebody calls them fat. Where was I? Oh yeah, so as I was saying, they use their chakra to convert some parts of their body or even entire body to very large size. They use mostly raw strength to defeat their opponent. Okay, do you understand everything I told you so far? Naruto was carefully listening to what she was saying and was trying to memorize all of that. He never had anybody to teach him anything except for Hokage, so he wasn't going to pass this opportunity and slack off. So when she asked if he understood, he eagerly nodded in response, wanting her to continue. She smiled at his enthusiastic behavior. Now pay extra attention to the last two clans, they are considered two strongest clans in Konoha, as well as there are considered strongest ninjutsu in all elemental nations. Do you at least know what is? He just shook his head in no motion. Kain just sighed. I will have to teach him a lot of things if I want him to become strong. Sigh, but I will worth it. Hokage are special abilities that are passed down from your ancestors to you, that they somehow developed, and that will pass down to your children from you. Now there are 3 types of Genkai. 1 that affects your chakra. 2 that affects your body. 3 that affects your eyes, this kind of are also called ninjutsu. With me so far? Yeah, this thing sounds really cool, but doesn't it give you an unfair advantage over your opponent? She again just sighed. That is the point of, to have an advantage over somebody who doesn't have it. And besides, who said that life was fair? Do you think that what people are doing to you is fair? And of course, let's not forget one of the most important rules of ninja, you must use every tool available to complete the mission or win the battle. For a moment, Naruto was deep in his thoughts. She watched as several emotions appeared on his face. When he stopped thinking about what she said, he looking straight into her eyes in understanding of what she just said. I guess you're right. So you were gonna tell me about Hokage's and Uchiha's ninjutsu? He said excitedly. She smirked at the boy's desire to learn. Okay, now as I said before, pay extra attention to these 2 clans because it will be important to you. As to why, you will understand in couple of minutes. This clan has their own ninjutsu, it's called Byakugan, it looks like pupil-less pale eye, and it has 3 main abilities. When the Byakugan is activated, the user's pupils become more distinct and the veins near their temples bulge. The first ability of the Byakugan gives the user a near 360 degrees field of vision, except for one blind spot at the back of the neck. The second ability is being able to see through solid objects and can use a degree of telescopic sight. The third and one of the greatest uses of the Byakugan is the ability to see chakra flow, as well as the chakra circulation system inside the body with great detail. They also have their own taijutsu style that can only be used by Byakugan user. This style is called JKKEN Gentle Fist. Hokage clan is one of the noble clans of Konoha, which makes most of its members kinda arrogant. The clan is separated into 2 parts, the main house and the branch house, a system that is supposed protects the secrets of the Byakugan from outsiders. The members of the branch house are branded with a cage bird seal that gives main house members absolute control over them. And because of this, main house members started using branch members as their personal slaves. Most males from Hokage have dark brown or black hair. Uchiha, they also have strong ninjutsu that is called Sharingan. Uchiha is also one of those noble clans in Konoha, but they are not as bad Hokages, oh no, they are much more arrogant than them. Almost every Uchiha is born with strong Katon fire affinity, which allows them to use more powerful Katon. Unlike Hokages, Uchihas aren't born with Sharingan activated, it is only first unlocked under some stressful or emotional condition, after which the Sharingan may be used freely. When the Sharingan is first activated by a user, it has a different number of tomo around the central pupil. Usually the user will gain only 1 tomo in each eye, but it isn't unheard of for somebody to gain more than 1, but it is very rare. Sharingan has several different abilities. The first of the Sharingan's powers is being able to see the flow of chakra. The Sharingan can tell if a person is under because the person's chakra flow would be irregular. The Sharingan's second most prominent ability grants the user an incredible clarity of perception, allowing them to easily recognize different forms of chakra, though not to the same extent as the Byakugan. This also allows the user to pick up on subtle details, enabling them to read lip movements mimic something like pencil movements. As the Sharingan evolves, gaining more Tomo seals, this ability extends to being able to track fast-moving objects, before finally giving some amount of predictive capabilities to the user. However, even though the user may be able to see an attack or know it is coming, their body may not have time to react. The Sharingan's third and most well-known ability is instant photographic memory that grants the user the ability to memorize any technique that he or she witnesses, apart from other Genkai techniques. The user can memorize ninjutsu and taijutsu with near-perfect accuracy, allowing the user to use the techniques as their own, or even modify them to create their own new techniques. In order to reproduce a copied, however, one must have the necessary skill or ability to perform them. Sharingan cannot reproduce dependent on other factors, such as summons that the user has not signed a contract with. The Sharingan's final commonly used ability is capable of inducing a unique brand of hypnosis that involves suggesting actions and thoughts to the opponent through cast by simple eye contact. More advanced Sharingan users can take the hypnosis ability even further to the point where the powerful summon or even eye may be controlled, one of them being that bastard Madara. Also, not many people know this, but Sharingan can be evolved to the Mangekyou Sharingan. When Mangekyou Sharingan is activated, its appearance will change from common 3 Tomo eyes to some different shape, and the reason why I am not telling you what shape it will take exactly when evolved is because I don't know myself. Every Sharingan user will have his or her Sharingan evolve to its own unique shape. The Mangekyou Sharingan gives the user access to several powerful techniques, including the powerful Fire Amaterasu and the almost unbreakable Tsukiyomi. The Mangekyou Sharingan erodes the eyesight of its users, eventually causing blindness, which can be prevented by obtaining another pair of Mangekyou Sharingan from a sibling. Which bastard Madara did, and his Mangekyou Sharingan evolved to Eternal Mangekyou Sharingan. And one more thing you should know about Uchihas, so you would recognize one when you see him or her, is that almost everybody in the Uchiha clan has dark hair and dark eyes, and also has white fans with red top emblems on their clothes. As the side note to everything I said, Uchihas also run the Konoha's military police force, where only Uchiha clan members are allowed to join, so you better be aware of them. After a rather long explanation about the Uchiha and Hyuga clans, Naruto just sat there shocked beyond belief after hearing all the incredible abilities that this allowed a person to use. Wow was the only thing said. Kain of course didn't miss this opportunity and started to laugh hysterically at the expression that his face showed. After she calmed down and looked at annoyed Naruto, she continued. Do you know anything about Hashirama Senju? Naruto instantly took a thinking pose and obviously started thinking. From what Jiji told me about the history of Konoha, I only know that Hashirama Senju was the first Hokage and one of the founders of Konoha. He answered truthfully. That is true, but let me tell you a little more about him, and Senju clan. Naruto immediately perked up and prepared to listen to more information that all-knowing demoness would tell him. As I told you yesterday, Hashirama had the ability to use Mokuton that could tame demons like me, but it is not the only thing that you can do with Mokuton. This entire forest where you are hiding at the moment was created by Hashirama's usage of Mokuton in the matter of minutes. Naruto was absorbing everything that he heard like a sponge, and his respect for the man grew with every passing second. Many people thought that Mokuton was his bloodline ability, sadly they all were wrong. Hell, even I at first thought it was his bloodline. It was true that he had, but not what everybody thought it was. I only understood what it was exactly after I studied his DNA. I was really shocked when I found out that the Senju clan had such a unique bloodline. So what was it, said Naruto impatiently, wanting to find out what was exactly the mysterious bloodline of Senju. I am getting to that, don't interrupt me. As I was saying, I found out what Senju's bloodline was actually granting them. Turns out that their bloodline allowed them to have excellent chakra control and control over their specific element or elements that couldn't be achieved with training, no matter how hard you tried, and surprisingly enough mix elements together with almost no problem at all. Hashirama was born with already 2 affinities, which were Doton earth and Suiton water, carved in his DNA, and his bloodline allowed him to mix them together, thus creating Mokuton. His brother Tobirama, on the other hand, was born only with affinity for Suiton, but he gained such an extreme control over his element that he could create ocean out of thin air, using molecules in the atmosphere. So if Senju were this strong, where are all of them now? He asked, wondering why he never heard of such a powerful clan. Sadly, most of them died in the Third Great Shinobi War. Only living member of the Senju clan is Tsunade Senju, one of the 3 legendary Sanins of Konoha, who left this village many years ago after her fiancé died on a mission. She is actually using her bloodline for a medical, and she is considered the best medinin that there is. And she also created something like super strength using her perfect chakra control. Everything you told me so far was very interesting and useful, but why did you tell me all this? He asked confusedly, wondering if this was simply some kinda class to increase his knowledge of Konoha, or if there was some other reason why she told him all this. She grinned evilly and said, I told you all this because I wanted to offer you a deal. For some reason her grin sent chills through his spine. What kind of a deal is it, he asked suspiciously, glancing at mischievously grinning Bijk. Why I told all this is because while I was researching all of the bloodlines, I decided to create my own ninjutsu, and I was successful in doing so. But only I can wield it right now. So basically what I am offering you is my Kigen. She said all the while grinning. I see, will you tell me what this ninjutsu will grant me? He asked, wondering what could genetic like her, with more than several hundreds years of experience, possibly create. As you know, I'm the Kitsune demon, and foxes are natural tricksters. I will only tell you that with some help from my Kigen, you will be able to sneak to the Hokage office, while Hokage himself being there, steal his hat and certain orange book of his, and he will only notice it in about few hours, and with absolutely no success in finding out who it was. I will tell you more about its abilities if or when you accept my offer. And if you accept this offer of mine, there will be a big surprise that I planned for you that I sure as hell will love to have. She said with a pride in her voice for creating such a masterpiece. It is really impressive and all, but what do you want me to give you in return? Her grin grew so much that you would think that her face would split in half any second. Oh, nothing at all, I just want you to accept me as your first mate and I will be the first to have kids with you. And one more thing, I want to be alpha female. She tried as hard as she could not to laugh at his expression when she told him his part of the deal. What do you mean, mate? He was now wondering if he guessed right about what she just told him. Well, let me say it so you would understand. You will have to marry me and have kids with me, and you will ask me before mating with someone else. She said a bit slowly so he wouldn't miss any part of what she just said. You want me to marry you? But why me? And what do you mean mating with someone else? I thought you said that you wanted to marry me. He asked after getting over the shock that his Kain-chan wanted him to marry her, or as she calls it, mate with her. Answer for your first question is power. We demons are naturally attached to power, and when I am done with you, you will be one of the strongest persons that ever lived. And I know how your father looked, and it's obvious that you will look exactly like him, so you will be quite handsome when you grow up. She said with a seductive tone. But I'm afraid that at that point you won't be a human. As for your second question, you will have a very strong bloodline, and you will have to create your own clan, and seeing as you will be the only person from that clan, you will have to take multiple mates to expand your clan. He just stood there dumbstruck, not knowing what to say. Here was the most beautiful woman he had ever seen, and she was asking him to marry her and promising that he would be one of the strongest people to ever live. He of course didn't catch the fact that she said person and not human. While he was trying not to faint after what he just heard, Kyuubi was watching him with amusement, wondering when he would come to his senses. Okay, I accept your offer, he finally said. After a long pause he spoke up. But I won't mate with you right now, I am 5 for S sake. I am not asking you to marry me right now. I want you to do it in a couple of years, and while we will be training, we can get to know each other better. I guess that's okay. When do I get this ninjutsu that you were talking about, and how will I? All you need to do now is just fall asleep, because I must channel my inki to your DNA, so I could change it slightly, and that will be a very painful process, so you better be unconscious. And that was one more reason why I asked you to find a cave. If I would channel my chakra into you when you were in the village, people would freak out thinking that evil Kyuubi is taking over you. She told him truthfully, as she remembered that she promised to tell her future mate the reason why she asked him to leave the village. But what if my parents left me something? I heard an old man say something about blood seals once. My father was a seal master, and as you said my mother was in Uzumaki, so I'm guessing that she had knowledge in Fuinjutsu as well. So it won't be surprising if they left something for me and sealed it away. Don't worry Naruto-kun, I won't change that part of your DNA just yet. He just raised an eyebrow at the nickname she gave him. Also he was curious as to what she meant by not changing his DNA just yet, but decided again asking her as he was getting rather tired from all of this new information. Okay Aka-chan, I believe you. Well then I will see you in a couple hours. He waved her goodbye and was gone several seconds later. She sighed as she started thinking about the amount of work she needed to do for it to work properly. Well, I guess there is no turning back now. Let's get to work, sooner I start sooner I'll finish it. And with that started very painful process for Naruto, even though he couldn't feel it, and very exhausting process for a Kain. 13 hours later deep inside the cave equals. When Naruto woke up, he expected many things like pain, headache or something even worse. But he certainly wasn't expecting to wake up full of energy and better than ever before in his whole life. When he opened his eyes, he was very surprised to see everything in such great detail, even though he could tell that it was dark as hell in the cave where he was sleeping. Suddenly he heard some noise, somewhere in the cave. It sounded like some kinda big ass rock just dropped from the ceiling to the floor of the cave. When he looked around to see what happened, there was nothing that could make such a noise. But then he noticed a little droplet of water that was sliding down from the ceiling to the cone-shaped rock that was pointed toward the floor. When that little blob of water dropped to the floor, it made the same noise as he heard before. What the hell? He decided not to think about it right now, because he was getting thirsty. He looked around to find his pouch that he packed yesterday. When he found it, he stood up and went to grab it, but noticed one more thing. Cave seems smaller than I remember. Oh well, guess I didn't pay enough attention when I came in yesterday, so he just started to search for water. After 5 minutes of searching, he realized one thing: he forgot to pack the water. Damn it, what am I supposed to do now? He sighed at his stupidity, but then he remembered that there was a lake nearby, so he decided to head there. When he approached the entrance of the cave, he was forced to squeeze his eyes because the sun was shining brightly outside and his eyes weren't adjusted to the light just yet. I guess it's natural. When he came out from the cave, he decided to fully open his eyes to let them adjust to the light. But when he opened his eyes, damn it, shit, what the hell is going on? He suddenly started to scream in agony. After about 5 minutes of screaming, cursing and pain, he calmed down. Now that he thought about it, he noticed that he could see, smell and hear everything much better than before. I wonder if this has something to do with the Kain using his newly found abilities. He quickly went toward the lake. When came to the shore of the lake and was about to drink some water, he saw his reflection in the water and was shocked to see that he changed drastically. Now he was 5'1" height, had dark red hair as if dried in blood, with a tint of bright orange, almost yellow. His eyes were dark red with a tint of blue, and his whisker marks were gone. While he was looking at himself and admiring his new features, some insect landed on his tail, so he just shoo at it. He just simply continued to look at his reflection. Several minutes later it hit him. Wait. Till. He looked back and saw a fluffy fox tail the same color as his with yellow dot. He stood there for about 2 minutes just looking at his tail in shock while his tail was swinging left and right as if it had life of its own. When he turned around to look again at his face, he noticed a pair of fox ears on top of his head, the same color as his tail. Also he noticed that his fangs were longer and he had claws, giving him a somewhat feral look. What did you do to me? There was no answer, just silence. After a couple minutes of silence he grew impatient and decided to try again. Aka-chan, darling, wake up, I need to ask you something important, he said softly in his mind. She just read something about 5 more minutes. He sweat dropped and decided to try yet again, but now in a more forceful manner. Hijbi, wake thee up. He started to scream, but again she just grunted in response. He sighed and thought that he would need to wait until she would wake up on her own. But then a devious idea came to his mind. Aka-chan, my sweetheart, if you will answer my questions, I will give you a big dot, he said in a husky voice. The Kain immediately perked up. Did you want to ask me something about Naruto-kun? I can answer any of your questions, she said with a seductive tone. He just face-palmed himself. Why did all of this happen? What do you mean? You don't like your ears and tail? She pouted a bit. No shit. Why mustn't I like them? Maybe because people will start screaming bloody murder moment they see me and will start chasing me around to kill me, thinking that they are killing so evil Kyuubi that came to destroy their village. He said with a hissing voice. Okay, relax, I get it. Now go back to cave so I could pull you here and explain everything that happened to you. He nodded inwardly and went back to cave as his soon-to-be mate asked him to. Naruto's mindscape. Let's start with your changes. When I started changing your DNA, it seemed that your body wasn't quite ready for such an amount of my inki. So I don't really know how to say this, she said, unsure how to tell him the last part. Just say what happened, I won't be mad at you, I promise, he said with a kind smile. She let out a heavy sigh. As I said before, your body wasn't ready for the changes, so I channeled much more of my inki so your body would age faster, so now you are physically 9 years old. What? That's it? What about this tail and ears? She started laughing nervously. You see, I kinda went overboard with my inki, this turning you into the demon. She was expecting him to shout and scream, but he never did. Instead he just calmly asked. So how did this happen? He said with a little smile to show that he wasn't mad at her. She instantly relaxed seeing him smiling at her. You never actually used your chakra before, so when I filled your chakra channels with my inki, you changed into the demon. This would kill any other regular human because my inki is like poison for humans. But when I was sealed into you, your chakra coils weren't developed and thus over the years your body adapted to my inki. Your chakra would be part demonic anyway, seeing as my chakra was mixing with your own, but when I channeled a rather large amount of my Imki into you, it was all that was needed for you to turn into a full-blooded demon. Well, I guess it's okay. I was gonna marry the demoness, so why not become a demon myself? And after, the only difference between humans and demons is that demons are stronger and look different. I mean, you are demoness, but you were kinder to me in only 3 days than all other humans in my entire life. You're absolutely right. These stupid humans can't understand the simple fact that not every demon is evil or something. Hell, there are even some humans that are worse than most of the demons. Naruto just chuckled and silently agreed with what she just said. Now let me explain what you gained when you became a demon. You still can use all of that you want, also with your new chakra system, they will be 10 times stronger than they should be. You also gained shape-shifting ability, thanks to my Imki. Also, I took liberty to expand your brain's capabilities and boost your sensor skills to the highest level possible at your current age. So now you will be smarter than that of the Nara clan, and your sensor skills will be on par with Nidamed Tsuchikage. Also, your bones are now almost indestructible, and you have a body that people of your age or even older than you could only dream of. Your sense of smell and touch are better than any Inyazuka could dream of having. Also, you have very sensitive eyes and hearing ability. Oh, and one last thing, your claws and teeth should be stronger steel and sharper than knife, so don't think they are some fashion accessories. That sounds pretty badass. So what about this shape-shifting and sensor thingy? I was getting to it. I also need to explain to you more about Kigen that I gave you. Now listen carefully cause I won't say it twice. I originally created Kigen for spying and intelligence gathering purposes. With your left eye you can cast around yourself or any other object or area, masking your chakra and even scent. Not even Sharingan or Byakugan users can see through it, and not even Inyazuka will smell you. With your right eye you can cast on anyone that will make eye contact with you. If you will use it properly, then you will be able to find any information you need and infiltrate even the most guarded facility in the world. And it is how I gathered all the information about every hidden village. Also, you can see through any Jinjutsu that was casted at specific area or person, and you are immune to any Jinjutsu, and I mean any. Not even Tsukiyomi will have effect on you if Wu will activate you, Kigen. She told him proudly. So what about that other abilities? It's called shape-shifting. It was also made for spying, intel gathering and infiltration. With this ability you can change your appearance in any way you want, hell you can even turn into the animal that is close to your size. Oh, and you can hide your ears and tail using this ability. So how do I do it? You need to concentrate chakra to your body or body part that you want to change and imagine how you want it to change. You would need to unlock your chakra, but luckily for you when I channeled my Imki into your body, I opened all of your Tenketsu points, so now you can freely use your chakra. But seeing as you never used it before, I can teach you how to do it. After your first time of using it, it will be as seen nature to you. But that said, she threw him out of his mind causing him to awake. So how can use chakra? You must feel it. Concentrate and feel your chakra flowing through your body, and when you will, don't try to control it, just guide it. Yes, I can feel it, it feels very familiar and at the same time new, and it also gives me this warm feeling. Now channel your chakra to your entire body and image your 5-year-old appearance. After about 5 minutes of trying, he finally succeeded in doing so. Yeah. I did it. But it took pretty long to do it though. So what about that sensor ability? He already excited about his new abilities. After shape-shifting couple more times, your body will adapt to changing every now and then, so it will only take couple of seconds. Now your sensor skills allow you to sense chakra and hide you own. Also you can tell who is the every person based on their chakra signature. Try to concentrate and feel everything around, every living creature has its own chakra system. After several minutes of intense concentration he was able to feel every living creature's chakra around him and even people in Konoha. Wow, it's like I can see everyone that is around me. It's amazing. She chuckled slightly at his reaction. Yes it is, you will be able to sense everyone's chakra that are 100 miles around, but it is only if you will concentrate. And your abilities will only increase with some training. Okay, now let's get back to Konoha, or Old Monkey will think that something happened or you ran away. When you will get back to the village, you will start your training. Do you know where Forest of Death is located? Yeah, I've been hiding there couple of times before. She frowned when she heard that. And I wanted to ask you if I can visit my mindscape at will, rather than you pulling me inside each time. Actually you can. Wake me up when you will get to your apartment and I will teach you how to do it. Equals 2 hours later Konoha gates equals. When he was about to walk through the gates, he was stopped by the same man that he saw yesterday. Halt. What is your business in Kano? You are the kid from yesterday, sorry didn't recognize you there. Well, I don't have anything to do with you seeing as I know who you are, so go on, I won't hold you back from your way. See you kid. said man with spiky black hair and with bandage on his nose. While he was walking through streets of Konoha, he was met with hateful and disgusted glares yet again. Oh yeah. I almost forgot that everybody in this village hates me or want to kill me. Oh well, in couple of years I will be out of here and if I ever return, I will slaughter every one of those stupid villagers kuku. Wait, what? Ugh, I think my demonic urges are kicking in, gotta control myself, gotta control. When he finished his trail of thoughts, he realized that he was already in front of his house. He slowly opened his door and stepped inside, locking it. Kain-chan, I am ready, come on, teach me how to enter my mindscape. Okay, good, you need to relax and channel a little bit of chakra into your seal that is supposed to be on your belly. After 15 minutes he finally appeared in front of the cage. Hey there Aka-chan, he said in cheerful voice, and he seemed to be excited about something. Now I appreciate everything you did so far for me, so I have a surprise for you. Close your eyes and don't open until I tell you to. She was wondering what he was going to give her, but complied nonetheless. She stayed with closed eyes about 5 minutes until he spoke up. You can open your eyes now, Aka-chan. When she opened her eyes and looked around, she couldn't believe what she was seeing. Instead of some sewer with pipes and cage with seal on it, there was beautiful forest and two-story house behind her. For a moment she had that dreamy look on her face and just stood there. When she finally got over her shock, she suddenly ran up to Naruto, who was looking like his 9-year-old self in his mindscape, and hugged him tightly, burying his face into her well-developed chest. When she broke the hug, Naruto's face was red as tomato, she just giggled when she saw his face. Naruto on the other hand, was grateful that he could again freely breathe and was even slightly disappointed. Wow Naru-kun, how did you do it? It's so beautiful here. And where is the seal? For starters it is my mind, and as for seal just look at your right hand, he said, whole wondering if she would like his present. When she looked at her hand, she saw a beautiful silver ring with red 9-tailed fox on top of it, holding diamond with all its 9 tails, and kanji for seal inside the diamond. Ring was off course on her ring finger, she looked at him almost with teary eyes, and hugged him with such a force that he fell on his back, but what surprised him the most was not the hug itself, but what she did afterward. Several seconds he just lay on his back trying to understand what just happened, but quickly responded to the instinct. After about 2 minutes of makeout session, that seemed like hours, woe was all that he could say. She just giggled when she saw a distant look and huge blush on his face. Okay, enough with sissy stuff, you need get stronger, and to get stronger you need to train. So get your ass out of here and go to the forest of death. Today I will teach you a jutsu that will help you to learn almost anything, at the very least several hundred of times faster than anybody else. She told him as she stood up and was looking down at him. When he heard her say that, he jumped up and disappeared from his mind in the matter of seconds. Equals 30 minutes late entrance of the training ground 44 equals. He stood in front of the metal gate with a sign training ground 44 stay out. Kain, we're here, what should I do now? First check if somebody is inside there. After a minute of silence he confirmed that there was nobody except him. Now go inside and try to find some clearing in there. He knew this place very well from what he remembered, but it still proved to be a bit difficult to find the clearing. After about 30 minutes of searching, he finally found one and at the moment is standing in the middle of it. Aka-chan, I found the clearing as you wanted me to, so what are you going to teach me now? He asked, barely holding his excitement. First transform back to your now original appearance that you got after becoming the demon, also you can leave tail and ears alone for now, in case somebody will see you here. He simply complied with what beautiful redhead told him. I will now teach you one of my most favorite moves, it's called Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. This jutsu allows you to create solid clones that can fight and do everything that you yourself can do. But that's not the best part, when clone is dispelled, all his memories will transfer back to you. So that's what you meant when you said that I would be able to learn everything faster than anyone else. Yes, and imagine how many clones you would be able to create, considering that your chakra reserves are on par with a chibi. Now come here so I would be able to show you required hand seals. And while we're at it, I will also teach you every hand seal that are 12 in total, so you wouldn't have to come here every time I will teach you some new jutsu. After 2 hours of non-stop straining, he was finally able to create 200 clones. Cool. He said as he watched in awe at 200 copies of himself. Now dispel them all and try again, but this time put half of your chakra into it. He did as she said, and when he tried once again there was big poof of smoke. When it cleared, there stood 1500 perfect copies of Naruto. Now tell 200 clones to change their appearance and send them to the library to read everything that may be useful, and I mean everything until it will be time for library to close. Send 500 clones to train with Keegan, another 500 to train in sensor abilities. For the last 300 clones tell half of them to go find some shurikens and kunais in town that people aren't using anymore and to practice aim and reflexes. and other half to practice in stealth. So while clones will be working at that, you will be training in speed, strength and stamina. And soon enough when you will learn how to increase your chakra control, you will start working on that too. Now did you memorize everything that I just said? He nodded dumbly. Good, because this will be your training schedule for next 6 months. And you will train 8 hours per day with no exceptions, and when you will go to sleep to let your body to rest, we'll give you private lessons in your mindscape where time flows 5 times faster, meaning 5 hours in your mindscape equals 1 hour in reality. Now let's begin your training. For some reason Naruto had really bad feeling about this. 6 months later. In past 6 months Naruto was training and learning everything he could non-stop with astonishing rate. He already had full control over his Kigen, and he even managed to find very good use for his Kigen by using same method as a Kain to gather information. He would create new set of clones every week and send them to spy on every clan in Konoha. He even sent one clone to Hokage office and one more to council room. He even placed couple of his clones in the root headquarter after he discovered it by spying on councilman whose name is Dansma. Also he have several dozen of clones running around the village and gathering any intel they can. He also mastered his sensor abilities. He now can detect anyone's chakra in 400 miles radius like it's his second nature, but if he will concentrate enough, he could sense chakra up to 1000 miles radius. But most difficult thing to master was hiding his chakra. Of course he could use his ninjutsu to put ninjutsu around himself to hide not only his chakra, but also smell and become totally invisible, but it required some chakra, so he wanted to hide his chakra without losing any in the process. During this time he managed to read every single book that was in the library, even useless romance stories. Which by the way helped him a great deal in his relationship with a Kain. Unfortunately or fortunately, depends on how you think about it, he found Uchiha series, and surprisingly enough he became a fan. But not as big as Kakashi Haddock. Also when he read all the books that were available for civilians, he snuck up to the shinobi section and learned Henge, Kawamiri and Shunshin no Jutsu. He also wanted to learn some D-rank elemental jutsu, but a Kain told him that he was not ready yet. Now his speed, strength, stealth and knowledge almost in everything except jutsu were on par with Junin's, thanks to his body that he gained when he became demon. And unsurprisingly he got very interested in Kenjutsu, seeing as both of his parents were seal masters. But sadly the only thing that he could master was chakra control, but he still managed to complete tree and water walking exercise. And on the side note, he also gained 2 new friends whose names are Anko Midarashi and Kurenaiki. Anko is 17-year-old Takebetsu Junin with violet hair tied into the wild ponytail, has light brown pupil-less eyes, 5'7" in height and with rather nice body. She is commonly wearing a tan overcoat, complete with a fitted mesh bodysuit that stretches from her neck down to her thighs. She wears a dark orange miniskirt, as well as a forehead protector, a small pendant that looks like a snake fang on a cord rather than a chain to prevent it from being easily torn off in combat, a wristwatch, and shin guards. She also wears a dark blue belt around her waist that connects to her skirt that has an appendage-like sash. He met her while he was training. When she first met him, he introduced him as Naruto without the surname. He said that he was an orphan whose parents died in Kyuubi attack. When she asked why he was here, he said that he didn't want anybody to see him, so people would underestimate him. She accepted that answer, but said that it was dangerous for little Gakus to run around the forest of death. Hell, she even tried to flirt with him, but he immediately saw through her act. She went wide-eyed when he asked her to drop the act and started denying everything. But he told her that she could tell him why she was acting like this when she was ready. After about 2 months of seeing each other several times every week, she opened up to him and told him how her sensei Orochimaru gave her cursed seal and abandoned her, leaving her to die. And the reason why she is acting like that is to prevent anybody getting close to her. Turns out that when she isn't putting up her crazy sadistic bitch act, she is very kind and caring person. From that moment on they became very close friends. After about 1 month of their close friendship, she introduced him to her only real friend, aside from him of course, Kurenaiki. Kurenai is 20 years old Junin and Jinjutsu specialist. Kurenai is a kunoichi with long and black shoulder-length untamed hair and very unique eyes that are red in color with an additional ring in them. She wears makeup consisting of red tick and purple eyeshadow. Kurenai used to wear the standard Konoha shinobi outfit with a Junin's jacket and a simple sleeveless red outfit underneath it. She is very nice and caring, but at the same time simple person, she is also very honest. They also become close friends after 1 week of knowing each other. He learned only later on that she had a nickname Ice Queen of Konoha because she was rejecting every offer on a date from any male. Even though he was only 9, he was already getting jealous looks when he was eating with Anko and Kurenai in Dango shop. Clearing and TG44 equals. Naruto just finished his usual training and it was already noob. Hey Naruto-kun, I think you are ready now. Naruto was confused because he didn't understand what she was talking about. Huh? Ready for what? I will tell you soon, but first let me tell you about Sage of Six Paths. Wait. Isn't that just a myth? That human, if can call him human, is far from being just a myth. Now listen carefully and try not to miss anything. Many hundred of years ago, there was 10-tailed beast who for some reason gone berserk and was determined to destroy the world. But there was one man who you now know as Rikiden Sennin. He managed to seal Jikbai into himself, thus becoming Jinchuriki of the Jikbai. When sealing was done, his DNA altered and he gained legendary Rinnegan and all the chakra that Jikbai had. Using its chakra he could create things from nothing and even give them life. When he was dying, he knew that if Jikbai will break free, it will destroy the world. So he divided its power into 9 parts, thus creating 9 Bijk. And to make sure that Jikbai won't ever regain his powers, he created the moon and sealed its body into the moon. He also had 2 sons, one of them gained Sharingan and created Uchiha clan, and his second gained his chakra and created Senju clan. Whoa, never thought that there would be a person who would be able to create the moon. So why did you tell me all of this? I told you this because you are one of the descendant of Rikiden Sennin and you have little part of his DNA. And if I will push enough chakra into that specific gene, you will activate Rinnegan. There of course may be some other person who activated Rinnegan without demonic chakra, but he would be unable to use it to its fullest, and if he would attempt to use some extremely strong jutsu using its power, he would just destroy his body, and it's very unlikely that he or she would survive, but there still is a chance. And if you are wondering how you have it in you, well, it's simple. Uzumakas were distant relatives of Senju clan. Whoa. Awesome. So what are we waiting for? Let's do it. If somebody would be nearby, they would have thought that poor boy gone mad. Not so fast. I have something much better planned for you. But first, do you remember what one of your clones found in Hokage office? Yeah, I do. There is a blood seal behind Yondame's photo. Correct. And there may be something that will require your blood. And if I will change your DNA code once more, then it would change completely. And that's why we will first find if your old man left you anything. And now that you mastered ninjutsu that I gave you, it will be like walk in park to sneak in Hokage office. Hell, you can even release me and nobody would sense chakra spike. Of course, thanks to you chakra hiding abilities that I gave you. Okay, I get it, you are that great in algaes. So when do you think I should do it? You know, it's already time that you would stop asking me every time what to do. I just wanted to know your opinion on this one. It's always good to know opinion of demoness who got hundreds of years of experience up her sleeve and as smart as yourself. She chuckled at what he said. You became quite a charmer, you know that. He just smirked slightly. I think tonight should do. Then I will go and rest for now to prepare for my infiltration mission. Later that night. Naruto just sneaked up into Hokage's office and just finished putting Jinjutsu around it. He then proceeded to remove Yondame's photo from the wall. When he did so, he saw a seal on the wall. He bit his thumb for it to start bleeding and then pressed his finger on the seal. For several seconds nothing happened, but then there was suddenly poof of smoke, and when it cleared, there was a square-like hole on the wall. Inside was only wooden rectangular box. He grabbed the box and checked if there was anything else. When he could find anything besides the box, he cast Jinjutsu onto the wall, so nobody would detect that seal was broken, and then put photo in same exact spot where it was before. And with that he disappeared from the office, leaving no trace of him being there. Naruto's apartment. When he arrived to his apartment, he immediately went to his bedroom to open the box that his father left him. When he sat down on his bed and looked closer what this box looked like, he saw one more blood seal placed on top of it. He did necessary action to break the seal. When he opened the box, he saw 2 scrolls, letter, book, key and one strange-looking kunai. He decided to read the letter first. He opened it and started reading. Hey there son, if you are reading this then I'm obviously dead. And if your mother Sarutobi didn't tell you, my name is Minato Namikaze and I am the 4th Hokage, yep I'm just that awesome. Now if you wondering why nobody told you about me being your father, it's because I have many enemies in all elemental nations, especially in Iowa. So if Sarutobi gave you this, it means that you are strong enough to be able to defend yourself. Also I left you much more than what is in this box. Believe it or not, I was rather rich man. I left you my family mansion with all the jutsus that I collected, money and everything that you can find in it, so you and your mother could live there. If you don't know where mansion is located, there is a map at the end of the letter. In this box you will find my 2 most prized jutsus, them being Rasengan and Hirishin no Jutsu. And I also left you book that I myself wrote about seals. If you will learn everything that is written in that book and all books that are in mansion's library, you can proudly call yourself a seal master. Well, I guess this is it. Now I need to stop Kyuubi from destroying our village, and sorry for sealing it inside you, but you must understand that I don't have another choice, I am the Hokage after all. Also I ask Sarutobi to tell the villagers to see you as a hero for holding the Bijk. And if they don't, you and your mother can always move to Kumo, where my family originally came from. There is also rather large family mansion. Goodbye my son, and try to live happy life. And remember that I love you my son. Minato Namikaze, 4th Hokage and your father. When Naruto finished reading the letter, he was very sad, happy, grateful and confused. Sad because he could live happy life with his parents, but instead he was orphan who was treated worse than garbage. Happy because now he knew that his father loved him, even though he knew him only couple hours. Grateful because his father left so much for him to use and achieve his goals. And confused because in the latter, his father mentioned his mother who is supposed to be alive, if judging by the latter. Maybe she died afterward or maybe she left him, he didn't know, but he decided to find out. I'm really sorry Naruto-kun, it's because of me that all of this is happening to you. She said sadly. It's not your fault Aka-chan, if you want to blame somebody, blame Madara. And after all if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be this strong, and I wouldn't have met you. That moment she felt like crying from happiness. Nobody ever before told her such a kind words. Of course Hashirama was her friend, but nothing more than that. And every other human in the world thought about her as mindless demon made for destruction. Thank you very Naruto-kun, you don't know how much that means to me. She said as she felt tears sliding down her face. Kain, are you okay? He asked when he heard her sobbing. Yes I am fine, thank you. Now let's go and see what my soon-to-be father-in-law left you. She said jokingly, trying to cheer Naruto and herself up. Naruto chuckled at what she said and agreed with her. After 2 hours of searching he finally found the damn mansion. Apparently his dad wasn't skilled in drawing as he was in shinobi art. Turns out that mansion was couple of miles behind Hokage Monument near the woods. When he came closer to the mansion, he saw a 9 feet height wall around the mansion, and in the middle of it was big metallic dual door that was painted in dark brown color, and in the middle of it was Uzumaki swirl, which Naruto guessed must be the key. When he looked at it with his ninjutsu, he indeed saw that there was a blood seal. So he bit his thumb and putted it against the seal. Door opened with a loud cling. When he looked inside, he saw a huge 2-story mansion that was as large as Uchiha's, with large backyard that could be easily used as training ground, and if training dummies are any sign of it then it means that his father was using it for same exact purpose. Mansion itself was built in traditional Japanese style and was grey in color, with black roof and many windows. Front door was rather big, also dual as the main gate, and was white in color. He quickly ran to the front door and put the key that he had into the keyhole and opened the door. He went inside and when he looked around, he was amazed at how beautiful it was inside. On the first floor, he found big kitchen, even bigger living room and huge library. In the middle of the hall there were wide stairs that led to second floor, where were only about 11 guest rooms with everything included in them, each one of them was better than his entire apartment. There also was one master bedroom with a little office inside. He also found out later on that there was even underground floor where weapons and all kind of equipment were held. There was even personal onsen at the backyard and it was pretty big. Wow, I never could dream of living in such a place like this. And all thanks to you dad. He said to no one in particular with a huge smile on his face. Yeah, everything is great and all, but if you will move in here, you must make sure that nobody will know that you live here or we'll be in one hell of the problems. Now settle down and listen to me so I could tell you what I started telling you this evening. I am listening. You were something about changing my DNA completely to activate Rinnegan. Yes, but that's not all. I can give you 3 more bloodlines beside Rinnegan and Keegan. But I will need blood example to do it. Naruto's eyes were now wide as plates. Whoa. You really can do that? And what Kekage case exactly are we talking about? And whose blood you need to do it? I was thinking about Byakugan, Sharingan, and Senju bloodlines. And as to whose blood I want, I would say Hiashi Haika head of the Haika clan, Madara Uchiha and Hashirama Senju. If I am right, their medical files and blood samples must be held in the hospital, in the room covered in many protection seals. But can't you activate Rinnegan right now, so it would be easier for me to get the blood samples? No, because if I will activate it now and add some other bloodline later on, they will just cancel each other. But if I will activate all at once, they will fuse and create completely new one, with all of bloodline's abilities combined. By this point Naruto was wondering how strong he will be when he will get this new bloodline. But his thoughts were interrupted by a Kain. And don't even think for a second that you will gain all the power in the world just because you have some super bloodline. Oh no mister, far from it, you will be training even harder and more than before to master all of your new abilities and I will make sure that you won't slack off. At this point Naruto was already even more pale than Orochimaru. But luckily for you, both of your parents were seal masters, and you have more than enough resorts to become even better seal master than father. So for next 4 months, we will continue with your physical training, and most of your clones will be studying seals, and maybe 100 or so clones will be working with all that weapons that you now have, to train you aim and dodging reflexes. Naruto sighed heavily when he thought about all the work he will need to do, but he complied nonetheless. 4 months later. Naruto was currently relaxing in his personal onsen. He was just thinking about everything he did for the past 4 months. In this 4 months that he lived in Namikaze estate, he was training 10 hours per day, every day without any exceptions. And with his clones and training in his mindscape, he could proudly call himself Seal Master. Also he was becoming better friend with both Anko and Kurenai. And when he had free time, he was usually talking to a Kain. And now that he thought about it, he was really glad that she was going to be his mate soon. Also seeing as he mastered his shape-shifting ability, he decided to make his original look that he would take when not pretending to be happy-go-lucky Naruto Uzumaki. When he was in his original form he had almost same haircut as Yondaime, only exception was that he had his hair tied into the ponytail and his hair were blood red color that he gained when he became the demon. He stood at 6 feet height with ripped body that most man could only dream of. All in all, he looked like 16-year-old, redhead Yondaime with red eyes. When Anko and Kurenai questioned him about his sudden changes, he said that he was just growing up a bit fast. Their only response was tell us what really happened to you, or we will castrate you here and now. He was scared as when he saw the look they were giving him, and said that he would tell them the truth on his birthday that would be in October, which would be in 2 months from now. But he was still scared that they would hate him for being a demon, but he would need to tell them sooner or later. He just decided not to about it for now. Naruto-kun, I think with your current knowledge of seals, you are ready to infiltrate the hospital and get blood samples. So are you ready to do it? She asked him daringly. He grinned and answered with so much determination in his voice that you would think that he is about to conquer the world. Of course I am, do you think tonight will do? Maya, tonight sounds good. And with that he started preparing for one more of his infiltration missions. 2 days later early morning. Naruto just returned home from rather long night of sneaking in the hospital, avoiding traps, breaking seals and stealing blood sample, but it was totally worth it. He grinned at the thought of getting such a powerful bloodlines, but his favorite part was that he would have excellent chakra control. Oh, how many nights he dreamed of having such an ability. Yo Aka-chan, I got everything here with me, he said inwardly while panting a bit from all that running he did. But you also got Uchiha Fugaku's and Tsunade Senju's blood. Oh, and couple of empty jars. He nodded. Good, now fill empty jar with your blood. He went to the kitchen, picked up the knife and cut his palm. He held his hand on top of the jar to let blood pour into it. But it was a bit annoying, seeing his cut on his arm was healing in couple of seconds after he cut it, so he needed to cut his pal around 10 times or so, until jar was full. Okay, it is full now, so what do I do now? Do you remember that seals that were on that blood samples that you stole, to freeze the blood inside of the jar? Yeah I do, you showed me them once. He said as he remembered time when she was helping him with the seals and taught him how to make this particular seal. She knew how to make it because she used it a lot herself. Then put this seal on jar with your blood and seal it away somewhere. In case there are some more blood seals that are set to recognize your blood, you will use this one. He did as she said, and after 5 minutes he was done. Now you have 2 choices. 1, you will drink a bit of blood samples, or 2, you will mix it with your own blood. Oh, by the way, put blood of Fugaku and Tsunade somewhere else, because you won't need them now, or you may not need them at all. I think it's better if I will mix it with my own, I mean drinking blood, it's gross. He grimaced at the thought of drinking someone's blood. As you wish, but remember you need only little droplet of blood, no need to empty whole jar. He then prepared all blood samples and cut his left palm and then dropped 1 droplet of blood from each jar into his injury. After 10 minutes of silence, a Kain finally spoke. Okay, I got everything I need. You can rest now, I will do all the job from now. Oh, and you will probably be out for 2 to 3 days, and I will be exhausted when you will wake up, so don't try to contact me. She said with a heavy sigh. But then Naruto suddenly appeared in her room, grabbed her by the waist, and pulled her into the heated dot. After about 10 minutes of passionate make-out session, they broke the and looking at each other for about 5 minutes, slightly touching each other lips. That was my way saying see you later, he said with a sly grin. And when you will recover, I will give rather nice welcome. He gave her peck on the and disappeared. Yep, I totally made the right decision when I decided to get him as my mate. And with that thought on her mind, she started very exhausting for her and painful for him process. 5 days later. Naruto just woke up in his king-size bed, feeling very sore. Then he remembered what happened before he fell asleep and quickly jumped from the bed and went to the bathroom. When he completed his morning ritual, he looked in the mirror and tried channeling chakra into his eyes. When he did so, two things happened that left him stunned. One, if he wasn't as skilled in sensor type abilities as he is, he wouldn't even feel any loss of chakra. Two, his eyes now had 3 circles around the pupil, and with 9 tomos, 3 on each circle. His right eye was completely white with only pupil circles and tomos being black, but his left eye was complete opposite, meaning black eye with everything else white. And with slightly noticeable red, almost transparent veins going from the corner of his eyes to his temples. He just stared at his new gained bloodline in awe and decided to thank Kain properly for job well done. After he got over his little shock, he decided to leave his ninjutsu activated for the day to get used to the feeling of his Kekkei Genkai. Next day. Naruto just entered into his mindscape to check on Kain. When he stepped inside the house, which looked like exact copy of Namikaze's estate, except it had flat roof with a pool on it, he went straight to her room. When he opened the door, he was met with cutest sight he saw in his life. There was Kain, apparently sleeping, well curled up into the ball, with all her 9 tails wrapped around her, and her foxy ears twitching every now and then she was hiding her tails and ears with ninjutsu, much like Naruto is. He silently walked up to her bed, sat beside her and started caressing her silky blood-red hair. After about 20 minutes doing so, he grew bored with that, so he decided to relax until she would wake up. He laid himself beside her and wrapped his left arm around her waist. When she sensed new source of heat, she immediately hugged him and put her head on his strong chest, lightly snoring. He just silently chuckled when she saw her doing that. He didn't even notice when he fell asleep about 15 minutes later. Several hours later. When she woke up from rather good sleep that she hadn't had in a while now. She was confused as to why her soon-to-be mate was sleeping with her, but she wasn't complaining. After 5 minutes of just laying there and enjoying his company, she decided it was time to wake him up. She slightly sat up on him, thus successfully waking him up. "And that's a wake-up call that I could get used to," he said with a sly grin. "I will think about it if you will be good boy," she said with a grin of her own. Handing him on the cheek teasingly. After several more minutes of flirting, they decided to discuss more important things. "Kain-chan, as much as I love flirting with you, I want to know what I am able to do now with my new bloodline." "Well, let's see, where do I start?" "Okay, first thing that you need to know is that you have now 5 different bloodlines that successfully fused within you, hence creating totally new one. Now let me explain what you can do with it. Also, I didn't think of the name for it just yet. I was actually expecting some of abilities to cancel each other while fusing, but to my great surprise it didn't, and I was even able to improve some of abilities that you would gain. These are things that I improved. You don't have blind spot that every hokage has, and your veins wouldn't bulge when you will activate Kekkei Genkai, they will just become slightly visible. Also, to obtain abilities of Mangekyou Sharingan, you won't need to be in some very extreme emotional state, rather you will just gain them with training. And here are the abilities that you can use or will be able to use with some training from your part. You will have all abilities of the Byakugan and Sharingan. I won't explain what they are because you already know it. You also gained excellent chakra control of the Senju clan. But what you don't know are abilities of the Rinnegan. You will able to use all 5 elements and even gravity. I also made sure that all of the 5 elements would be carved into your DNA as if you were born with them. And combining it with abilities that came from Senju, you will be able to mix some of them together, hence creating sub-element. I will explain more about Rinnegan when we will start training. And that's exactly what you will be doing in next couple of years. Naruto was really amazed to say the least. So what I will be learning in my trainings. Oh, but here's the best part. You do realize that if you have some clan's bloodline, you will be able to use said clan's jutsu, right? Naruto eyes widened in realization. I see you understand where I am getting it, right? He nodded with his head. But if we steal jutsus from some clan, surely they will notice that. You don't need to steal them, copying them will be more than enough. Also, along with clan jutsus, it will be very useful if you will be able to copy jutsu from the forbidden scroll of sealing that is located in the Hokage residence. But how will I be able to pull that off? He asked, slightly worried. I will say only this, Kage Bunshin. As to how well it's who is the prank king, so I am sure you will able to create a decent plan. She said with her foxy smile. Oh, and also don't forget to take with you Tsunade's, Hiyashi's and Fugaku's blood. There may be some scrolls that will have blood seal on them. Suddenly Naruto realized why she asked him to take their blood samples. He started grinning deviously as he already was getting some ideas for his newest prank. 1 month later. It was already midnight in Konoha and everyone was ready to go to sleep. But suddenly outside the village thousands of explosions were heard in all directions. Everybody rushed to see what was going on when suddenly second wave of explosions ringed out, now closer to the village. And that moment everybody inside the village had one thought going on through their minds: we are under attack. Every ninja in the village ran to defend their home. For the next 2 hours explosions continued from all directions. When it stopped, everybody was still on guard for about 20 minutes. But then they went to see who was attacking them, if somebody was at all. What they found shocked everybody to no end: there were paper bombs just everywhere. They couldn't understand why somebody did that or who did that. But what they didn't know was that while they were defending village from the enemy and were trying to find attackers, every single jutsu from Hokage, Uchiha and Senju clan, along with jutsus from Forbidden Scroll, were copied by one and only Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto. When everyone settled down, they could heard hysterical laugh coming from the woods, and again it was our favorite redhead making these disturbing noises. October 10th Namikaze estate. Now we see Naruto sitting in his living room, on the couch, facing two beautiful women. They are of course none other than Anko Mitarashi and Kurenai. Okay girls, as I promised I will tell you what happened to me, and I am telling you this because I trust you with my life, and well, I really like you both. They blushed deeply when they heard him saying that he lied them. Now first let me ask you this: what do you know about Naruto Uzumaki? He surprised them with his question. I saw him couple of times, running around the village acting like an idiot and pranking some people. I actually like his pranks. Apart from that, I only know how he looks. He has blonde hair, blue eyes and that cute whiskers like marks on his face. And he must be around 6 or 7 years old. Said Anko. Well, Kurenai nodded her at what Anko just said, showing her agreement. You see Anko-chan, Kuren-chan, I am none other than Uzumaki Naruto himself. He said, shocking both women and leaving them wide-eyed and gawking. What do you mean you are him? You can't be him, you don't look anything like him, and you at least 10 years older than him. Shouted Anko. Well, Kurenai just sat there shocked and unable to produce any noise. You both know that Naruto is container of the Kyuubi, right? They both nodded slowly. He then proceeded to take off his shirt. Now he sat there shirtless in front of two blushing women. I guess you like what you see? He asked, as both Kunoichi's blush deepened. Why did Yauthat, said Kurenai after she got over her shock to be stuck by another when she saw seal appearing on his belly. This can't be, Anko managed to mutter under her breath. I know it's hard to believe, but please do. Now I want both of you to take one of my hands and relax. You will understand what I want in a moment. They were wondering what he could possibly wanted to do, but complied. Several minutes passed, but nothing happened. But then they heard new female voice. I was wondering, when would you bring these two lovely ladies here, for me to meet them? Yeah, I am sure that you will like them, Aka-chan. He said with happy smile. Not to be rude or anything, but who is she and what happened? Asked confused Kurenai while looking at Naruto. Let's start with this: I pulled you both into my mindscape. And as for her, well, you probably already guessed who is she, but I will still introduce her to you. Her name is Kain. She is the same Kyuubi that attacked the village 6 years ago, and she is also my first mate. Isn't she supposed to be kin to evil? And will you explain how all of this happened to you? Because right now I am confused, as said Kurenai, surprising everyone by her outburst. Allow me to explain everything from the beginning. Said Aka-chan as she proceeded to tell them about everything that happened to her and Naruto. Wow, both women said in union. Wait a second, you said that she is your first mate. Does that means that you have more? Asked Anko. At this point, Kain just stepped closer to both Anko and Kurenai and whispered something to them. While this was happening, Naruto was getting nervous. So girls, now that you know who I am, I'll understand if would stop being my friend, or even if you will hate mmhmm. He was cut off by Anko, who pulled him into an passionate dot. He went wide eyes when he realized what was happening, but quickly responded to the dot when they parted. He just stood there for a second, unable to do anything. Wah? I don't understand MHMP. He was again cut off by the that was filled with same passion and love, but now it was Kurenai who did this. He gladly her back. After 5 minutes of them making out, they finally separated. You see, Kain here told us that you will need multiple mates, so said Anko. So we thought that we could give a try na. Finished Kurenai. When he heard what they said, Naruto was feeling like happiest man alive. Of course we must give it a try, and I'm more than sure that everything will work out just fine. They spend all day talking about their newly developed relationship and what they will do about it. He also told them who his parents were. When it was getting dark, both of his soon-to-be mates him goodbye and went to their homes. He knew that it wouldn't be easy for them, and he also knew that he couldn't stay in Konoha for very long, but he was ready to meet any hards that life would throw at him head on. And with that thought in mind, he went to sleep. Naruto woke up, feeling like he has just won lottery. You may ask why. Answer is pretty simple: he was now dating not one, not two, but 3 hot women that any straight guy would kill for. Long story short, he was in heaven. But of course every single good thing must end. And it was exactly that case, where only after 5 minutes of heaven, you're in deep shit. Everybody in Konoha could hear Naruto scream. And this same scream caused a Kain to wake up. What? Where? What happening? How? Bug me head, don't worry Aka-chan, it's just that clone that I left to pose as 6-year-old me just dispelled itself about 2 minutes ago. So what did you learn from the clone that caused you to scream like that? Asked worried redhead beauty. Well, for starters, I got attacked again. But that's not the worst part. When my clone woke up in the hospital, there of course was sitting our beloved Hokage, who showed us his generosity by enrolling me into the Konoha Academy. Said Naruto, in now depressed mood. Sigh, now there will be even more problems, guess it can't be helped. Okay, now let's stop with gloomy attitude. Get up, do your things, and after that, I will tell you something that you will definitely like. Naruto instantly got curious about surprise that a Kain was talking about. Equals same day 11 PM outside the Konoha equals. Naruto was now outside a village, inside the same cave that he found 1 year ago. He tried to ask what she planned that he would need to be outside the village, but she just said that it would be surprise. Now come to your mindscape and I will tell you what I want. Naruto started meditating and after 5 minutes he was standing in familiar room. He started looking around only to see red blur that tackled him to the bed. It was that moment that he realized that he was lying on the bed with a Kain on top of him and her locked with his. After about 10 minutes of makeout session, they finally stopped and sat on the bed next to each other. So what did you want to see me for? I will tell you later, but first I will ask you couple questions and you must answer me honestly, okay? He just nodded. Do you love me? Yes. Do you want to be with me, even though I caused you so much pain? Yes. Would you really stay with me till the end? I'm gonna always be there for you no matter what. He said confidently. The Kain just smiled and let out a sigh of relief. Good. Now I will tell you why I called you here and also why I ask you all of these questions. It's been 1 year since you became demon and all this times I was monitoring your body to see how it will respond to all of this Imki that you have in you. Don't think that there is something wrong with you, it's just that you are first human that became demon. Now about what I found out. It turns out that you can use chakra and Imki and even mix them together. Let me explain how it works. When you use human chakra, it will have same effect as if you were usual human. You can use Imki to enter tailed beast state that all Jinchuriki can when they are in cinch with their bijk. Also it seems that you subconsciously was using mix of Imki and chakra all the time. All in all, you have excellent control over your chakra due to senju bloodline, about low chiknin level control over hanam chakra, an. I'll be calling mix of chakra and Imki hanam chakra. Because I'm lazy bum that comes once in a century and absolutely no control over Imki. So you will need to train in chakra control again. She just about to continue when dramatic sound interrupted her. Oh man, chakra control again. Damn. I was so sure that this curse would leave me once I gained new bloodline. But new Uwe just came back with much more force and now it would be pain in the ass. F my life. Why Kami why? He started shouting into the ceiling while waving his hands back and forth. Equals unknown location with Kami equals. Haha. That's what you get for seducing my little innocent Kainheim. Bitch. Was heard hysterical laughter from Kami, who was sitting next to Shinigami and enjoying the show. Shinigami just sweat dropped, thinking that Kami finally snapped. Equals back with Naruto and a Kain equals. Why do I suddenly have this feeling, as if I got myself into shitload of trouble, was thoughts of poor blonde when he felt chill running down his spine. Anyway, now what the reason you asked me all those questions? I was just about to tell you, but somebody just have to cut me off again, she said while glaring daggers into Naruto, who just rubbed his head in embarrassment and chuckled nervously. As I said before, 1 year passed since you started to use Imki, even if not pure Imki. And your body adapted to it. And here is the reason why I called you here and asked all those questions. Now that your body is adapted to Imki, I think I know the way for you to free me from the seal. Really? So I can finally get you out of here and be with you for real and not just in here? That's great. So what are we waiting for? At this point, Naruto couldn't hold his excitement and started rambling. Hold on Naruto-kun, it's not so easy. In order for me to be free, I need to channel 8 tails worth of Imki into you with steady rhythm. If you will just reap off the seal, sudden release of my power will just kill you. And I don't know how will seal react to such a big amount of power transfer into you. So there is a possibility of you not surviving the process. She said a bit hesitantly. I will do anything for you, Kain. I want you to be free. I want to hold you and do much more intimate things with you in real world and not just here. He said with perverted grin that would make great Jiraiya-sama proud. Equals somewhere in wind country and hot springs equals. Jiraiya was doing his research when he suddenly felt something. My perverted senses are alerting me that my book turned one more innocent soul into the pervert. He shouted and pumped fist into the air. Who's there? Did you hear something? Some random girl asked on the other side of hot springs. I think somebody's there, other girl answered. Then there was silence for about 2 minutes, which Jiraiya thought was calm before the storm. Unfortunately he was right. Ah. Pervert. Was heard high-pitched scream from the hot springs. Oh shy Jiraiya couldn't finish was he about to say, due to the huge rock that flew straight into his face. Equals back with Naruto and a Kain equals. Great Kyuubi just blushed deep shade of red, but several seconds later she had the same grin as Naruto. She leaned closer to him and whispered into his ear with husky voice. Oh believe me when I say that, first thing that we will going to do when I'm free is hot passionate for 1 week straight. I can't wait, he smirked in her. Are you sure you want to do this? I mean you can. She was cut off by pair of that crushed onto her own. The Kain, stop arguing and start with transferring. I already decided that if there was some way to free you, I would do it without hesitation. He said confidently. Okay, but it will take a while. I think about 8 to 10 hours. You better rest while I do that, so go get some sleep. I will call you here when I am done. Okay then I'll see you in a bit. He was about to stand up and leave when pair of arms wrapped around him. Naruto, just know that I love you, okay? He just smiled at her and her one more time. I know, and I love you too, and with that he left. Sigh, okay. Sooner I start, sooner I finish. She prepared for next, very long several hours. Equals 8 hours later equals. When Naruto woke up, he found himself in all too familiar Sower, in front of the cage with Seal. I wonder why everything is how it used to be. His thoughts were interrupted by the booming voice that belonged to none other than a Kain in her full bitch form. Naruto-kun, I did all that need to be done. Now only thing that is left is for you to rip off the seal. Oh, and while we're at it, when you will rip it off, you will feel pain unlike anything you ever felt. I am ready, let's do this. He said as came closer to the seal. He stopped in front of the seal and extended his hand to rip it off. He grabbed evil piece of paper and was about to rip it to shreds. But he was stopped by the hand and thrown back. When he looked at the person who threw him, he couldn't believe to what he was seeing. Be dad. There in front of him stood one and only Minato Namikaze in all his glory. Hey there son, long time no see. Let's move to more comfortable place without this beast. Naruto froze when he heard his father speaking. Minato was about to snap his fingers to change their surroundings but was interrupted by Naruto's voice. Dad? Said Naruto in very sweet manner. Yes son. Answered smiling Hokage. You. And with that, fist connected with Minato's face, which sent him flying. Don't you dare call my mate and soon to be your daughter-in-law best. But I actually hope that she will be beast in some way. He ended his sentence with perverted giggle. Why asked rather confused blonde with WTF look on his face. Naruto-kun, stop being a pervert with your father or you won't get any tonight and you will be sleeping on the couch. Besides, you can always be perverted with May, don't mind at all. At this point, Minato was just freaked out and couldn't say anything and was just looking from his son to red-headed beauty. After 10 minutes of explaining everything to now shocked father, he finally calmed down. So let me get this straight. You points his index finger at Naruto are kind of a demon, you got some super kick-ass bloodlines. You also have one super hot mate and 2 soon-to-be super hot mates. And to top it all, entire village hate you with passion. And you points his finger at a Kain are going to have with my son in couple of hours. Both Naruto and a Kain face faulted at his last statement. Well, it pretty much sums it all. Said Naruto with a huge smile. Where was your mother while you've been growing up? I don't know. I was placed to the orphanage from the day one. I don't even know her name or what she looks like. That reminds me, can you tell me a little about her? Asked young blonde with sad eyes. Let's see, her name is Kushina Uzumaki, she has long red hair, she's about 5'4" tall, green eyes. He wanted to tell his son more about his mother, but he started to fade away. Would you look at that, it seems that my time is up. So I guess it can't be helped, it was nice meeting you son, but now I should go. And before I go, know that I am proud of you and you have my blessing on her part, points to a Kain and winks. Naruto just stood there with sad smile on his face, watching as his father was disappearing. Bye dad, and thanks for everything you left for me. And I am proud to be called your son, he said with happy sad smile. After 1 minute, there were only 2 people standing. Naruto let out a heavy sigh and turned to his mate. Well, he said that we have his blessing, so what are we waiting for? Let's get you out of here. He almost shouted as he ran up to the seal and ripped it off. For several moments there wasn't any noise, but then suddenly gate opened with a force that blew Naruto backward. His eyes shot open, he was no more in his mindscape, he was in the cave where he slept not so long ago. Then he felt pain, lots of pain. Next 10 minutes of his life could be described. When he woke up, he felt like shit, but soon realized that there was weight on top of him. When he looked down, he saw a red head lying on his chest and apparently sleeping. He did only thing that every straight male would do, he got a boner. He tried to shook her awake, but to no avail. He then took off his jacket and wrapped it around her. He stood up while holding her in his arms, bridal style, and took off toward their mansion. He smiled happily at the thought of her being his wife and couldn't help but think of things they would do there. And with that in mind, he was running full speed to the village with his sore body and all the while giggling pervertedly. Namikaze's mansion next morning. The Kain slowly opened her eyes and first thing she saw was her favorite blonde. She smiled and was happy that they could break Dam's seal. She sat up a bit in him, waking him up in the process. "Hey there, how are you feeling?" asked happy but worried Naruto. "I'm feeling great, thanks to you. Oh, how I miss this feeling of air on your skin, feeling from touching something. Never better," said excited Beauty while jumping up and down on Naruto's belly. "That's great. Now tell me, was there any problems or some side effects?" "Actually, I got good news and bad news, which do you want to hear first?" "Bad news. You see, when I transferred almost all my Imki into you, thus your reserves of Imki are on par with me before I got sealed," said Kain nervously. "And that's a bad thing, why?" he asked suspiciously. "It's bad thing, cause you will need about 2 to 3 years training in Imki control with 4,000 clones every day," she answered while trying not to look into his eyes. Naruto just started crying and I'm tears while cursing Kami for his never-ending curse. "So I guess it can't be helped. So what are the good news?" he asked, hoping that there was at least something good. Kyuubi just looked at him with perverted grin and glint in her eyes and leaned closer to him. "Good news are that by the end of this day, you will be a man," she whispered huskily and started sucking slightly on his neck. Next day Namikaze mansion. Anko and Kurenai just got back from their C-rank mission and wanted to see Naruto. They came 2 days ago to say their goodbyes, but he wasn't home and they got worried and decided to check on him after their mission is done. When they entered the house, they started thinking where he could be. In the end, they decided to check the bedroom. When they opened door to master bedroom, where Naruto was supposed to sleep, smell of sweat and assaulted their noses. They looked at the bed and spotted 2 figures lying there. They were doing perfect imitation of a gaping fish. "Naruto!" They both screamed at the same time, causing Naruto to wake up. "Wah? Anko? Kurenai? What are you doing here, girls?" he asked, still not fully awake. "What do you mean, what are you doing here? We came to check up on you, cause we were worried about you. And here you are, cheating on us, not even a day after our relationship started," stated angry Anko, while Kurenai was still trying to get over her shock. "What? I never cheated on anyone." He understood what they were talking about when he heard low groan next him. "Oh, this points to a Kain, this is a Kain. Don't you remember? I introduced not so long ago." When he said that, they got a bit better view of the person who lying next to Naruto just to experience shock one more time. Now it was Kurenai who got over her shock first. "What the hell? Last time we met, she was in your gut," said with confused expression on her face. "Yeah, well, you've got her out of there yesterday. So now we all can be together," he said happily. Anko and Kurenai just sighed and looked at him smiling. "Okay girls, come here both of you so I could give you good morning," said Naruto with foxy grin. They immediately ran over to Naruto and sat on the bed as he them both lovingly and hugged them. "Girls, what time is it?" he asked when he spotted sun rays coming from the window. "Let's see, it's about 2 p.m. answered Kurenai while nuzzling to his neck. He just whistled when he heard that, amazed of the fact of how long he slept. He then started stretching, but felt 2 hands being wrapped around his torso and head resting on his shoulder. "Good morning Naruto-kun," Naruto on the cheek. "Hey there girls," Kain greeted them. Naruto smiled and gave her peck on it, while 2 newcomers greeted her with hey and yo. "Girls, are you all hungry?" "Yeah, we didn't get to eat anything while on the mission, and first thing we did after we came back was coming here," answered Anko while patting her belly. "Then how about I take you girls out for a date?" he suggested with his usual foxy grin. His maid and 2 soon-to-be mates squealed with delight and tackled him to the bed. "I take it, that's a yes." Yes, all the of them cried at the same time and giggled. "Then I and Kain will go take a shower. Kuro-chan can read some scrolls on Genjutsu and Anko-chan can read about positions and stuff while we will clean ourselves. Oh, and Aka-chan, we will go to separate bathrooms because if we'll go together, it will take much more time than needed." Kain just pouted, making cute face that Naruto wouldn't be able to resist if he would be still looking at her. About 20 minutes later, Kain and Naruto came down to the living room and spotted Kurenai and Anko sitting on the couch and talking. "So do you girls decided where you want to go?" Anko instantly shot up from couch and shouted, "Dango shop. Anybody got any objections?" asked Naruto, glancing from Kurenai to Kain. Nope. Not at all. Then let's go. Cried out Anko and jumped onto Naruto's back, wrapping her legs around his torso and arms around his neck. Come on. You're gonna give me a ride. Woo-oh. Said Anko in childish voice while still hugging her boyfriend. Kurenai just shook her head at the scene and Kain just laughed at them. Naruto chuckled but didn't argue. Then hold on tight. Naruto Expresses started moving and 2 minutes toward the dango shop, he announced. Girls just giggle and Anko started rubbing her cheek against his. Equals dango shop equals. Naruto and girls just finished their dango when Naruto saw 2 men approaching them. He decided to wait and see what they wanted. When they got closer, he recognized them. They were Kakashi Haddock and Asuma Sarutobi, both Junin rank ninja. Hey there Anko, Kurenai. Can we have a moment with you too? Kakashi asked. If you have something to say, you can say it here. I don't have any secrets from my friends. Answered Kurenai with a slight frown, already knowing what they wanted to talk about with him. Kakashi and Asuma just eyes Kain and Naruto suspiciously, but started talking nonetheless. Well, you see, me and Kakashi here wanted to ask you if you wanted to have a dinner with us. You know Anko with Kakashi and Kurenai with me? Asked nervous Asuma. While this was going on, Naruto was just watching with amusement from the sideline. When Asuma finished his already unsuccessful attempt to get a date, Naruto started chuckled lightly. Anko was about to tell them to out of here, but was interrupted by Kakashi, who caught sounds of Naruto's chuckling. Hey, what's so funny? And who are you? Oh, me? I am just random handsome red-headed civilian. And the funny thing is that you are kind of late. Answered Naruto with shit-eating grin. What do you mean I am late? Asked slightly angry Kakashi. Not you, both of you. Answered Naruto while holding back to not laugh at the faces that both men were making. How can you be so sure that we are late, huh? Now it was Asuma that asked with irritated tone. How you say? Easy. Because I am their boyfriend, said Naruto with his happy-go-lucky attitude, smiling all the while. And watching in amusement as they were gaping like a fish. What do you mean you are their boyfriend? You can't have 2 girlfriends. Said Kakashi like it was the most ridiculous thing in the world. Why, you were right, I don't actually have 3, answered Naruto. By this point Naruto was laughing his ass off as they almost fell over when they heard that he had 3 girlfriends. How? Kakashi asked, almost begging for answer. You want to know how? Okay, I tell ya, but you shouldn't tell anybody else, okay? Both Kakashi and Asuma just nodded and leaned closer. Answer, I see him just that awesome. Shouted Naruto and started laughing and their gobsmacked expressions. Well, it was nice meeting you guys, even though I don't know your names. Good luck next time. Bye bye. Said Naruto with a smile that was threatening to split his face in half if it grew slightly bigger. When both Asuma and Kakashi left, grunting something about lucky red-headed bastards, Naruto and girls started to laugh hysterically. Surprisingly enough, loudest of all them was Kurenai. When Naruto asked why she was laughing so hard, Kurenai didn't say anything, but is passionately on the and just said thanks. Naruto could have swore that he heard cries of "noo" from almost every male in the bar when Kurenai him, but he paid no mind to it. 2 years later, training ground in Namikaze mansion equals. It has been 2 years since his first date with Kurenai, Anko and Kain. His appearance didn't just. Only visible change was his clothing. He now wore a crimson muscle t-shirt, Anbu-style black pants with 2 orange lines on each side, black boots with wide orange line on them, and black coat with red flames on the bottom of it, and picture of Kyuubi on the back with kanji for MEALSTORM''Naruto and Namikaze underneath it, written in bright red color. Also there is big white kanji for death and demon on top of the Kyuubi. His skills also improved. His Taijutsu, which was Jiken, was even better than Hiashi's. All thanks to his clones and new moves that he created for this style. His ninjutsu was of course off the charts. He managed to master every element in 2 days each. Thanks to excellent chakra control and of course his shitload of clones. He actually now could create more than 12,000 clones, which surprised even a Kain. He now knew every jutsu that you could find in Konoha for any element. He also mastered several sub-elements, such as MOKUTON wood release, YMTON lava release, FUTTON boil release, RANTON storm release. He even managed to master JINTON dust release, but it took him whole 6 months just to successfully channel Jinten chakra through his body. Unfortunately, he knew only Mokuton jutsus from all of the sub-elements, and this is only thanks to Senju library. He even created several jutsus for each sub-element, except for Jinten, because he had absolutely no idea how to use it. But a Kain told him that there were masters of this sub-element in Tsuchi no Kuni land of Earth, and he could just go there and learn from master himself, or he could just steal scrolls for it, either way works for him. Speaking of Senju, he found scroll that apparently Tsunade left before she left the village. In that scroll was explained principles of using her super strength. He of course mastered it in no time, but he only could use it with human chakra. His chakra control improved drastically. He now had about mid-Jnin level control over his Imki, and thus he had Elite-Jnin level control over his Hanam chakra. He could now enter seven-tailed form without losing control. But a Kain told him not to use his Imki before he reached same amount of control as he has over his human chakra. And his Genjutsu, well, let's say that you better not with his Genjutsu, whoever you are. His sealing skills long surpassed that of Yondame's. He even managed to master Hirishin no Jutsu. Now he had Hirishin seals all over Konoha. He also had gravity seal and chakra suppressing seal. Bastard even somehow managed to elemental Rasengan for every element. And surprisingly enough, even Jinten. And in all honesty, Jinten Rasengan was his favorite one so far. Along with training, his relationship also progressed pretty good. He now had 3 hot mates, and of course introduced to wonders of threesomes and foursomes, where he again proved the possibilities of Kage Bunshin are really endless. Good times, good times. I almost don't want to leave, he thought to himself. Just this morning he found out that Hiruzen along with Dan's, Kaharu and Homura gave Itachi mission to execute his entire clan tomorrow at midnight. He sighed at the thought of what his friend had to do. Boy Haim, what do you about all this clan execution thing? He asked a Kain that was sitting not so far from him, watching how his training was going. I think it's perfect opportunity to get thee out of here. And we can even recruit Itachi as out spy and ally if we play our cards right. Good idea, but where will we go to? You remember that about 2 weeks ago, messenger from Kiri came here asking for help in civil war. We can go there and help them out. You will gain more allies to your side and you need some battle experience. And if I remember correctly, there was 3-tailed Jinchuriki in Kiri. Naruto perked up at thought of meeting one more Jinchuriki. Yes, you're right again. Sigh, well then let's spend this day saying our special goodbyes to our mates na. Kain and Naruto instantly had huge perverted grins plastered on their faces. And with that thought in mind, they started preparations for bye-bye Konoha operation. Naruto was sitting on the tree branch inside the Uchiha district, waiting for Itachi to come and carry on with his mission. He didn't have to wait long. In about 5 minutes, at the gates of Uchiha district, stood one and only Itachi Uchiha in black Anbu uniform. It didn't take long for Itachi to kill guards and start killing people that were sleeping peacefully inside their houses. Naruto was carefully watching from the side all the time. He honestly didn't even a bit for Uchiha clan. He then remembered how members of the Uchiha clan tried to kill his Imki Bunshin. But of course they failed to do so. On the night before his birthday, he pumped almost 1 tael worth of Imki into his clone. So only way they could have killed his clone was by beheading him. But they still managed to use couple of Katenjutsus before Hokage arrived. And worst of all, was fact that there was dog-masked Anbu watching everything and he didn't even move a muscle. Despite painful memories, Naruto just silently continued to watch Itachi kill every single person that he came across. When Naruto saw Itachi entering clan head's house, he suddenly froze. He just remembered that there indeed was certain Uchiha who he cared for. This certain Uchiha happened to be Itachi's mother Makoto Uchiha. That moment Naruto was assaulted with memories from couple of years ago. How Makoto helped him when nobody else would. How she played with him when nobody would. And how she would buy food for him when nobody would sell it to him. I need to save her. With newfound resolve, he jumped down from the tree and followed Itachi into the house. When he entered the house, he saw Fugaku Uchiha, head of the Uchiha clan now, his ex-clan head, lying dead on floor in front of the horrified Makoto, who was looking at her eldest son. Itachi raised his wakizashi at his mother, preparing to grant her fast death. Just as he was about to slash through her skin, his weapon stopped halfway through, it stopped as if it hit invisible wall. He raising his head and found himself staring at 2 very strange and powerful looking eyes. And then he heard 2 words coming out from strangers, almost as if he was whispering something only for him. Shinra Tensei. But those 2 words, he found himself flying backward and hitting a wallard. He hurried back to his feet, but when he looked around, he saw that there was nobody but his own corpse. He was about to head out to search for his mother when he heard scream from outside and decided against it. 15 minutes later outside Uchiha Wells. Itachi just finished torch guiding his little brother and was about to escape from Konoha when he sensed presence behind him. When he turned around, he saw familiar black and white eyes looking at him. And then he heard one word that caused his blood to run cold: Tsukiyomi. Surprisingly enough, he found himself sitting on the sofa with cup of tea on the table in front of him. Hey there Itachi, long time no see. Itachi looked up to see who was talking and spotted same man that prevented him from killing his mother no so long ago, sitting in front of him on identical sofa. Who are you and why you didn't let me kill her? Asked Itachi with his emotionless voice. Oh? You don't know who I am, Itachi-san. How about I give you a clue? Naruto rose up from sofa, looked at Itachi, and smirked. He then started changing into his 8-year-old self. I am next Hokage and best ninja that there is. Dadabeo. Shouted Naruto in childish voice. And then changed back to his original form. Itachi just sat there dumbstruck, trying to proceed in his mind what just happened. After several minutes of just staring at Naruto, Itachi started speaking in shaky voice. And Naruto? Is that really you? But how? Naruto just flashed him his foxy grin and chuckled lightly. Come on Itachi-san, you didn't actually believe that Jinchuriki, holding strongest demon, would be some loud idiot, wearing orange jumpsuit and screaming about becoming Hokage, now did you? And for you final question how? It's simple, it's one of the abilities that I gained when I became a demon. What do you mean became a demon? Jinchuriki aren't supposed to be demons. True. But who said that I am one? He again started chuckling. A bit evilly this time. Are you saying that Kyuubi is released from the seal? Asked Itachi, almost panicking. Yep, she is. I couldn't hold my mate inside of me forever, now could I? And that moment, something clicked in Itachi's mind. That redhead that was always on dates with you, Anko and Kurenai. She is the Kyuubi, isn't she? Ding ding ding. We have a winner. They don't call you a genius for nothing after all. Yes she is, and don't worry. We won't be running around and destroying hidden villages or some shit like that, maybe Konoha, but later. Okay, then why did you bring me here? Now that's a question that I've waiting for you to ask. I actually want you to be my spy. You might ask, what is it for you? If you will work for me, then you will have my protection, and later on I will give you new life, better that you had in Konoha. So what do you say? Itachi stayed silent for 10 minutes, thinking about what Naruto said. I accept your offer. But what about my mother? Don't worry about her, I will take her with me. I am actually saying bye-bye to our village for a little while. So she will be with me while I am on my journey. Said Naruto with kind smile. Okay. Good. Said Itachi with his now again emotionless voice. First thing that I want you to do is to join this criminal organization that was formed not so long ago. And I want to report every month about their moves. Okay, but how do I do it? Oh, it's quite easy. You just need this. And with that said, he took 3-pronged kunai from his kunai holder that was on the back of his belt. Itachi's eyes widened slightly when he saw that weapon. Don't tell me that you know how to use Hirishin. No. I don't know how to use it. I'm master of it, said Blonde with insane smile on his face. Now enough talk, I have to go, places to see, people to meet, girls to get laid with. So I see you around. Oh, and it's a shame that you didn't kill your brother. He's just spoiled brat and a lot like his father. And with said, everything vanished and Itachi found himself back in Red World. He sighed heavily and started running from Konoha. 10 miles from Konoha with a Kain equals. Not so far away from Konoha, in some random clearing, was sitting bored a Kain, watching unconscious Makoto laying beside her. Then she heard someone appearing from behind her. When she sat up and turned around, she found herself ing her mate. Hey there, did everything go well? Asked panting a Kain after they parted. Yep. Couldn't have been better. So what do we do with her? She asked and pointed at still sleeping Uchiha. I promised Itachi that I will take her with me and protect her. And after all, it would be good way to repay her for everything she did for me. If I left her back in Konoha, they would have turned her into breeding factory to produce as many oh so great Uchihas as possible. He said with disgust evident in his voice. Sigh, I already miss our mates, you know. Said a bit depressed a Kain. Oh come on. Cheer up, Haim. And after all, did you forgot that I put the Hirishin seal in them and even left my special kunyas? So we can visit them whenever we want and they can call us if something bad happens. I know. But I still miss them. Enough with depressing thoughts. If I remember correctly, we agreed that you would choose what road we will go by to Kiri. He said cheerfully with huge smile. The Kain immediately perked up and showed smile of her own. Let's go to Tanzakugai and then to Nami no Kuni and from there we will take a ship to Kiri. Sounds good. He then knelt down, picked up still sleeping Makoto and threw her over his shoulder. Then off we go. He cheered. A Kain just smiled at her mate's antics and followed him. And with that they started their journey to the Kurigakure no Sado. 3 days later Nami no Kuni equals. Naruto, a Kain and Makoto just entered Nami no Kuni about 10 minutes ago. They could of course be there a lot faster, but thanks to a Kain and Makoto wanting to get their girl time, they stayed one more day in Tanzakugai. Mainly what this so-called girl time involved was shopping and just shopping. And speaking about Makoto, when she awoke, she was confused as hell as to what was going on. Then she started crying like no tomorrow when she remembered all the things that happened to her and her clan. Naruto of course tried to comfort her best he could. It resulted as Makoto crying to his shoulder about 2 hours before falling asleep in Naruto's arms. When she woke up again, she was a bit calmer than before, so Kain and Naruto explained what happened exactly. Naruto could still remember clearly how it all went. Flashback. And then I saved you, and we got out of Konoha. Naruto finished his 1-hour-long speech. So let me get this straight, you points at Naruto or Naruto Uzumaki, little boy that I was helping to buy food and was playing with. And you points at a Kain or Kikbi no Imko, the most powerful demon that attacked Konoha 8 years ago. And you guys are together. And if it wasn't enough, Hokage, Dansm, Hamura and Kaheru ordered my son to kill entire clan because my idiot of a husband planned to take over the Konoha. But Naruto wanted to repay me for all the good things I did for him, so he saved me and now protecting me, Makoto said with a heavy sigh at the end. Now Naruto and Kain were expecting many things to happen, but what she did next was totally unexpected for either of them. She started smiling like mad woman, fist pumped the air, and screamed. Ha! Take that Methefkuker. I told you that your shit-eating plan would fail, and you would be at upside down by Hokage and the council. After about 5 minutes she calmed down, and they tried to find out why exactly such an unexpected reaction. Not to be rude or anything, but what the? What? You were expecting for me to start screaming about lost love and shit? Ha. I hate that damn clan and almost every member of it. I didn't love that pig of a husband that I had, much less spread my legs for him. It was damn deranged marriage. All I cried about was how my son's life would now turn out, that he is missing Min. Talking about son, what do you think Sasuke's life will be like without me? If I know Konoha's council well enough, then they probably will be worshipping him like no tomorrow, because he is last of his clan and has Sharingan. Or at the very least, he will. Said Naruto with voice that showed his absolute disgust for Konoha. Well, I guess I don't have many options left, so my only choice is to follow you. Maybe I even will be able to hook up with this hot guy. He looks good, he is kind, he is powerful, and he saved my life, Kami. I think I am in love. But Kain's voice brought her back to reality from her daydreaming state. Okay then. Let's get going, there are so many places that I want to see, so many things that I want to buy. Flashback and equals. This place looks like shit, said Naruto as he looked around the city. It was literally dump. Starving people, trash, all kind of leftover and even more. Maybe we should help out a little bit. What do you think? Yeah, that might be a good idea. First thing we need to do is to find out what happened here, said Naruto. Then me and Aka-chan will ask people in stores, right? Makoto looked at a Kain with glint in her eyes that was perfectly reflected by a Kain. Sai, how much? Asked Naruto, already knowing what was coming next. What are you talking about? Asked Makoto with innocent puppy dog eyes. Naruto tried not to fall for that, but failed miserably. He just took out his purse and opened it, ready to give money for their investigation. Okay, Kain, know that you're just gonna go buy all kind of things. And in the end you will just forget why you went there anyway. Naruto pretty much knew what his mate would do, and in past couple of days he learned that Makoto had almost same personality as a Kain. If not for difference between appearance, you could have mistaken them for sisters. Hell, they became best friends after only 1 day of knowing each other. He was kinda glad that his red-headed mate found good friend, but on the other hand, he now had to deal with 2 girls that were acting like little schoolgirls. The Kain just stared at his open purse for a while and then said, seeing as you so generously offered us some money for shopping, we can't refuse it, now can we? I think we will tack him. She then snatched his purse and grinned. Yep, that will be enough, I think. Thanks, dear. She pecked him on the and run off with Makoto. I will be in the hotel, go there when you finish. Shouts of okay was their answer. Naruto just stood there, watching them running as fast as they could to buy everything they could. He just sighed and started crying and I'm tears. But then he looked around. When he couldn't detect anybody, he started laughing like a madman for a couple of minutes. When his insane laughter died down, he took second purse from him coat and grinned. It's good that I decided to save some money. At least there was something useful that I learned while being in Tenzakugai. 4 hours later equals. Naruto was now sitting at the local bar, trying to find more information about the Wave Country. In past 4 hours, he only found out that some businessman Gato hired some thugs to scare citizens and blocked all trade roads, creating monopoly. At the moment he was trying to spot thugs that people mentioned. And it seems that today was his lucky day. He saw a beautiful red head, her hair were reaching her waist, but unlike his dark red that were like blood, hers were bright red. She had very pretty face. If people were to ask, he would say that she was about 25 or so. And of course pervert that he is, he immediately activated his ninjutsu to look through her clothes. He almost got nosebleed. In Naruto's opinion, there was only one word that could describe her perfection. She was drinking sake, looking kinda sad, when group of thugs decided to have some fun with her. They came near and circled around her, blocking all possible ways to run. There was about 11 people in total. "Hey there babe, wanna go have some fun?" said random thug, who appeared to be the booze of the group. "Off, I am not in the mood for the shit like you," she snapped back at him. "Why you little bitch, we will teach you how to show proper respect," shouted same thug, and all remain ones cheered. Boss of the thugs clenched his fist and was about to hit her when his arm came to stop. He looked to his right to find none other than Naruto. "You know, if lady said no it means no. So please remove yourself at once before I do so to you," said Naruto in cold voice that sent chills down their spines. "Ha! What will you do if we won't back down, huh? We outnumber you 11 on 1, said some random thug from their group. "Oh? You sure about that?" For a second nothing happened. But another second later, 10 thugs were on the ground, unconscious. And only conscious member of the group was held by Naruto's arm. Poor thug didn't know what to do. This guy just took out all of his men in 1 second without moving. "Please have mercy. We will go, just don't kill us please," started begging scared thug. "I give you 1 minute to leave. And take this trash with you." He pointed at the unconscious bandits. When everything calmed down, Naruto sat beside beautiful redhead, ordered 2 bottles of sake, and started silently sipping from the bottle. "You didn't have to do that, you know. I already had it covered," she said as she removed her hand from katana that was hidden inside her cloak. "I know. I saw you reaching for your blade and decided to stop that so it won't get ugly. I don't like meaningless killing, even trash if it's trash like them." "Well thanks I guess." "No problem," he turned to her and smiled brightly. But she still looked sad as she was not so long ago. "Hey, why you're so sad? What happened?" asked Naruto. "I am sad because I lost my family long time ago and pain is still here and it won't go away. It's a long story. I have all time in the world. Literally. But she doesn't need to know that. So let's share stories along with some sake. You will tell me some of yours and I will tell you some of mine. How's that sounds?" he asked with his foxy grin. Woman actually smiled slightly, almost not noticeable for everyone except for Naruto. "Hey, why not? Might as well kill some time together, nah?" she said with a smirk. And with that said, they started drinking, sharing stories, laughing, grieving and even crying at some point. Next morning. "Ugging son, I hate you." This were exact same words that Naruto said first thing in the morning. "Oh my head, what's going on? Where am I?" It wasn't his hotel room, and he just woke up with gigantic headache without any memory of previous day. After nearly 5 minutes, he finally understood what was going on. He had a hangover. "Oh shit. Now I remember. I was trying to find some info on this Gato person. I walked into the bar, gave that thug some scare, and started drinking with that red-headed chick. Yep, we started talking about sad things, then we started talking about ninja things, then we started making out, making out. What the?" His thoughts were interrupted by some noise. He looked around and only then he noticed that he had some weight. He looked down and saw some red hair. "Please let it be not what I think it is." "What time is it?" said that same girl that he met yesterday, all the while lying on his chest. "I don't know. What I want to know is how that we ended up well like this." He pointed his hands at their bodies. When he tried to move, he heard coming from the girl. He looked down and saw that his member was still inside her and it already was erect. Stop moving. It feels good, but I have a headache. And for God's sake, be quiet," she hissed at him. The second she finished her sentence, door opened and revealed 2 figures. Naruto looked at the direction of the door. When he saw who was standing there, he froze and his blood ran cold. There, leaning at the doorframe, were Kain and Mikoto, glaring at him and the redhead. "So that's what you call information gathering, honey?" said a Kain with sweet voice that promised a lot of pain. Naruto just gulped loudly. "Sweetheart, it's not well it is, but beauty." By this point he was beyond nervous, he was shaking like a leaf on the wind. "What's all the noise here? I asked you to shut up." Redhead hissed as she adjusted herself on Naruto's member. "Who the do you think you are, bitch?" "Nobody asked yo." A Kain rant was cut short by Mikoto. "Hey Kushina?" asked Mikoto when she saw a face of the sleepy redhead that was cuddling to the Naruto. This got instant attention of Naruto and Kain, while Mikoto just stood there, slack-jawed, frozen at the place, eyes wide as dinner plates. "Wamiko-chan? What are you doing here?" asked Kushina, now a bit more awake than before. "Wait a minute. Kushina Uzumaki. Please don't say yes. It would be so awkward to explain why I am in the bed with my mother. And my dick is still inside her. Please don't say. Please don't say. Please don't say." But if Naruto knew something about Kami, he knew the Kami just loves to with his life. So he pretty much already knew that his pleading wouldn't work one bit. Oh yes, I haven't introduced myself yet. Kushina giggled sheepishly. I am Kushina Uzumaki, nice to meet you. She said as she cuddled more to Naruto and started snoring loudly, apparently falling asleep. Makoto fainted when she heard woman introducing herself. Kain being herself just fell to the floor laughing her ass off. And Naruto just sat there with sleeping Kushina cuddling to him. He just couldn't move. And about 10 minutes, Naruto got over his shock and said one word that pretty much sums the situation perfectly. Mother, and of course being strong man that he is fainted. Naruto woke up to the sounds of someone's arguing. He just groaned and opened his eyes, only to find two women arguing about something. He slowly sat up to see what was going on. He looked around, taking in his surroundings. At the right side of the room were Kain and Makoto, in heated argument about who know what. He then noticed that there was extra weight on the bed, and when he looked at the left corner of the bed that he was sleeping in, he saw a red-headed woman who had her back turned at him and by the look of it, was unconscious. And that was the moment when memories of all events that happened to him came flooding into his head. "Oh Kami, me upside down," he said with blank expression. Kain, Makoto, stop arguing and tell me what in the 9 levels of hell happened here. Almost screamed confused demon. Both women turned around and looked at him for a minute, panting from earlier argument. Hey Naru-kun, you're awake. For a moment I was worried there when we couldn't wake you up. Kain let out sigh of relief. As for what happened, well, it's kinda complicated. I got all time in the world literally, he quickly responded. Sigh, okay, here's what happened when you fainted and Kushina fell asleep, we for lack of better words, detached her from you. When he woke her up, she thought that everything that happened was just a dream. But after about 5 minutes of me talking and them points at Kushina and Makoto just staring at each other, I convinced her that it wasn't a dream. So after that we started explaining everything to her. And when she finally understood that she just had with her Sanj pulled Hinata and fainted. And here we are. I see, wait. What were you girls arguing about when I woke up? Oh, that. Gives Makoto slight glare. Makoto was just got angry because I was a little bit harsh with her, points her thumb at Kushina. A little bit harsh. A little bit harsh. You threatened to skin her alive, stuff her with explosive clay, and detonate all of that clay while screaming art is a bang. For S sake. Shouted angry Makoto, clenching her fists. So what? I should have all rights to do so. She left Naruto in that hellhole all alone while she was doing God knows what. And you're telling me that I was harsh? Said with angry voice that promised a lot of blood. Makoto was about to respond back when Naruto stopped her by raising his hand. Stop. This is going nowhere, I don't want to see you fighting, okay? Now Kain, I remember she said something about dead family, so maybe she thought I was dead or something. So let's just wait and ask her why she left me there. Makoto, Kain didn't know anything, so she assumed the worst. And she did it because she cares about me. He smiled softly as he finished talking, making both women smile back. Now let's wake her up and solve this awkward situation that we got here, said Naruto. First they tried to shake her softly, but it proved to be useless. By this time, Kain already got irritated, so she tried to slap her to wake her up. But before she could do it, Makoto's hand caught hers. Easy Aka-chan, easy. I know how to deal with her, she said with almost not visible evil smirk that Uchihas were famous for. This of course didn't go unnoticed by a pair of redheads. Makoto knelt down to Kushina's level and her was inches away from her ear. And she started whispering to her softly so nobody expects Sleeping Beauty could hear her. Kushi-chan, wake up. Somebody just stole your ramen. And quickly backed off from her. Naruto and Kain just eyed Makoto, wondering what she just said, but Makoto only flashed them evil grin that sent chills down their spines and raised her right hand. She had thumb, index and middle fingers out and remaining 2 folded. She started slowly folding each finger, starting from middle, then index, and the moment she folded her thumb, there was mighty roar coming from Kushina's direction. Naruto and his mate turned around just in time to avoid vertical swing from Kushina's sword that she got from somewhere. Who is the mafia that stole my ramen? I'm gonna cut his balls off, then slice them to tiny pieces and rub them into his ass, screamed enraged woman, whose face turned same color as her hair from anger. She also had her sword pointed at them. Well, about mother apart you can talk with him, pointed Naruto. And no, sorry, we don't have ramen. As soon as Kain finished her sentence, she and Makoto fell to the ground, laughing their asses off. The Kain? What the hell? That's not funny. Naruto shouted while giving her look that screamed betrayal. Oh hell yeah it is. She somehow managed to respond, holding her laughter for a little while. While the Uchiha and Demoness were laughing like no tomorrow, and Naruto didn't know what to do and just stared at them with angry, they all missed blank face that Kushina was giving them. So it wasn't a dream? Asked Kushina timidly. But luckily or unluckily, depending from what point of view you were seeing it, everybody in the room heard that. If you're asking about ramen part, then yes, it was a dream. And if you're asking about the part where you were riding his magnificent dick like bitch and heat, then no, it wasn't a dream. Everybody in the room just stared at each other for a whole minute without saying a word, not showing any emotions at all. Seeing as nobody wanted to speak, Naruto decided to break the silence by what he thought was the most logical thing to say in this situation. Him. After another minute of silence, Kushina spoke up. So everything that they looks toward a Kain and Makoto told me was truth. About Kyuubi and that she is in this room, and not only that, but even the fact that my son. Technically he is your former son, a Kain interrupted. Kushina just glared at her, and if looks could kill, a Kain would be no more. That my former son is demon and that I just had with him. And it was my best. No. Bad Kushi bad. No dirty thoughts about your son and his big fat, juicy, hard new. Mustn't think about dicks but he has so huge no. Ahhhhh. Can't stop thinking about dicks. Meanwhile other people in the room were starting to freak out. First she started to letting out perverted giggle, then her face hardened, as if denying something, after that she started drooling like child in candy store, then it was mix of all three, and finally her face showed frustration. While they were watching her, various thoughts were running through their minds. The Kain was thinking along the lines, did she finally snap? Or is she on drugs? OMG. What if she has AIDS? My poor Narukun's dick, and started drooling herself. Naruto's only thoughts were what is it her time of the month? But Makoto knew what was going on all too well. Sigh, I know that look, it's the same look that she had when she started dating Minato. She starts thinking about, but then trying to deny it, and it just getting worse every second. I remember once when she had that face, and Minato came and said hi. She yelled I don't think about dicks. And kicked him in the nuts. Poor guy, he wasn't able to walk straight for weeks. I better snap her out of it, or same thing might happen to Naruto-kun, and we don't want that to happen, now do we? No, we don't. I still need to get him for myself, and when I do, I want him to be able to satisfy me, so I better save him. Kushi-chan. Relax and tell us everything that happened after you gave birth to Naruto, before a Kain tries to kill you again. This snapped her from her rather inappropriate thoughts. Yeah, Kushina, Makoto is right. Let's just sit and try to understand how each of us got dragged into this. You already know mine, Kain's and Makoto's history, so now is your turn, tell us what happened to you. And based on your story, we will decide what to do next. Said Naruto as he sat down on the bed beside Kushina and facing Kain and Makoto. Kushina felt little nervous when every pair of eyes turned and stared intensely at her. Oh okay. First thing you all need to know about me is that I thought that my son died soon after he was born. I know that I should have checked if it was true or not, but I just gave birth and I was weak mentally and physically. And when Saratobi came and said that my husband and son, the only family I had, died while sealing Kyuubi, it was just too much, I couldn't take it. I didn't even stay there to recover, I just took off and ran as far as I could, not knowing where I am going or where I would end up. All this years I was just traveling around the elemental countries and collecting some bounties on missing nins or simply training to improve my skills. Hell, I haven't even gotten laid in about 9 years, chuckles uneasy. And in all honesty Naruto, if only I knew that you were alive, I would come and Konoha kill every single person and get you out of there. For what it worthy, I'm sorry, really sorry. She couldn't hold herself anymore and started crying. For Naruto it was very unique sight because he never got to see person with so many mixed emotions. There were tears of happiness because she finally met her son, there were tears of regret for not taking care of him, but mostly there were tears of guilt. Naruto, seeing that woman in front of him was breaking down, hugged her and held her close while whispering soothing words like it's okay and everything is going to be alright. After couple minutes of crying into her new lover's chest, Kushina calmed down somewhat. Naruto brought his near her ear and whispered softly. I am here now, okay? We can find old monkey and kill him together, alright? But for now let's just get to know each other better. I doubt that after last night we could share mother-son relationship, but let's at least try to be together. What do you say? But that said, he backed away a little bit and looked her straight in the eyes, smiling softly. Kushina for her part was thinking about what her ex-son suggested. She didn't know what to say. She herself knew that he wouldn't view her as a mother, but she didn't want to betray Minato. But on the other hand, she wanted to be happy as well, she was tired of always running and being alone. She just couldn't make her decision on the matter. But when he pulled back and looked straight into her eyes, all doubts instantly vanished from her head. She gave him silent nod, agreeing with decision to at least try to form some sort of relationship. Great. See, everything can be solved peacefully if you just try even a little bit. And now that this problem is out of the way, we can solve another one, main reason why we are still here to kill Gato. And despite events that happened last night, I still managed to get info on him, specifically his whereabouts, number of hired people, and that there are only thugs and no ninjas at all. That's good. So when will we strike? First I will go out and check if all this info is indeed true and try to come up with some plan. And you will stay here and get to know each other, Kami knows you need it, he said and was stood up, waiting for their reaction. Makoto was happy that she could catch up with her old friend and for a Kain, it was chance to bond with new mate. Wait mate. I can clearly smell that he marked Herbert how. Wait. There is another thing I just realized. Said red-headed Kitsune. Naruto, Makoto and Kushina gave her look that clearly said confusion and curiosity. Naru-kun, you marked her. Look for marking and you will see. Naruto's eyes widened and in another instant he was over Kushina and looking at her shoulder with disbelief. What? What is this mark that you guys talking about? Is it something bad? Asked Kushina with slight frown on her face. Will you say basically what mate mark is, it sort of a seal that binds us together and if I am right, you are now half demon and you're immortal, answered Naruto as he started chuckling nervously at the end. Welcome to the family. He said with best smile he could make out but it awfully looked like sadistic one. Own it bad but you sound like it wasn't supposed to be there. Was Kushina's only response. It isn't actually. You see, you can mark only those people who you truly love and vice versa. But he just met yesterday, that's why I thought that it would be just dot, but you guys actually made it, so just whoa. Oh and you better look in the mirror, when you became half demon, you went back to your 20s. Basically what I am saying is you're now around 20 to 22 or so. Said a Kain, while pointing to her face. Kushina darted from the room and into the bathroom in the matter of second. When she returned, her face was blank as hyper redhead's face can be. Anyway girls, I'm gonna go and see if all the information that we gathered is indeed correct. If it is, then we are going to attack Gato, Kushina included, and if not I will come back and we can talk about anything you want. And while I am away, try to get to know each other, or in Maiko-chan's case, just talk about things that you did while you were apart. Said Naruto as he got dressed properly to go outside and went out from the apartment that they were staying in. All the while Makoto was blushing because he called her Maiko-chan. He called me Maiko-chan. Yay. Hehehe will be mine in no time. She started daydreaming and giggling perversely, which earned her weird looks from two redheads. Equals outskirt of Wave Country Gaton's base equals. It was already nighttime, about 11 p.m. There, outside Gaton's base, stood 4 people, watching as various thugs were patrolling around the building. These people were Naruto Uzumaki, Uchiha hopefully, Uzumaki in near future, a Kain soon to be Uzumaki and Kushina Uzumaki. They currently were hiding behind random trees, confirming their plan that they came up with. Does everybody remember what we're gonna do? Whispered Naruto to his companions. He received 3 nods in reply. Good. And for Kami's sake, don't move too fast. Holding Jinjutsu over 4 of us is challenge by itself. Okay then, when I apply Jinjutsu over us, we will move inside. Well I'll go for Gato, you 3 plant as many explosives as you can around the mansion. Kushina will take first floor, Makoto second, a Kain third, and I will take the top floor. Oh and try to kill as many thugs as you can in the process. He said with a smirk on his face. Naruto just closed his eyes and took several deep breaths and started concentrating on applied illusion on him and 3 women that were traveling with him. After several minutes he opened his left eye and it started to produce some sort of white glow. When it died down, Naruto looked a little bit winded up, but overall it was okay. Done. Now move out. Meet back here in 15 minutes. Signaled Naruto. With that said, they started making their way to the mansion. They slowly moved toward their destination, so Jinjutsu wouldn't break. They passed 2 guards that were guarding main gates. They didn't want to kill them because they would alert remaining guards that were standing on the flat roof that could clearly see what was going on down there. When they were in front of mansion's wall that was on the right side of it, Kushina snuck inside using the window that she broke. Makoto and a Kain ran up the wall and used same method to get inside on 2nd and 3rd floor. Naruto on the other hand ran all the way to the top floor but didn't jump onto the roof. He quickly took glance of what was happening on the roof, all the while sticking to the wall with his feet using chakra. He spotted 4 guards, 2 of them were sitting in corner, smoking, and other walking around the roof. He waited until 2 guards that were looking around came near his position and when they were close, he made Kage Bunshin and both him and his clone jumped up and instantly killed 2 that were standing and sent kunai toward the other 2. This all happened only in 5 seconds and 4 guards dropped down, dead, not making any sounds. After he was done with thugs on the roof, he jumped down from the roof, he glued his hands to the wall and skidded down a bit on his hands and jumped straight into the window of 4th floor, gracefully landing on the floor. He then looked around and found himself at the end of the wide corridor with a lot of pictures on the walls. He decided to finish his job as fast as possible. So he took off to look for Gato. He searched for the right room for about 5 minutes, using Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, before he found the right one, which was Gatom's bedroom. When he was in front of the big double door that led to where Rich Midget was sleeping, he stopped to check for any traps, using his X-ray vision, just in case if Gatom was a bit paranoid about his safety. When he found none, he silently moved inside. In the matter of seconds he was standing beside the bed where Gatom was sleeping. He looked him over for a second and snarled in disgust. Naruto quickly coated his right hand with wind chakra and chopped him in, thus decapitating Fat Midget in front of him. After sealing his head into the scroll, he scanned room one more time, just in case he missed something. And to his surprise, he found hidden safe that was located behind the big portrait of Gatom that was on the wall right behind the bed. That's just so cliché. And after that, people are complaining about stolen money. Naruto quickly applied Jinjutsu around himself so nobody would feel chakra spike from him location and climbed onto the bed. He took big portrait off the wall and threw it to the other side of the room. He then went through three-hand sign and whispered Jinten. Genkai Hikuri no Jutsu, he then clapped his hands together. When he parted his hands, he had little cube structure with a sphere located at its center. X-Blonde then threw it in direction of the safe's door and while it was in the air, Jutsu expanded to match the said door in size. When it hit the door, it stopped for a second and then there was explosion inside the cube, thus creation bright light that was bright enough to cause Naruto to close his eyes. When Naruto opened his eyes, he was greeted with sight that he was expecting to see no more door. It looked like said door just disappeared, or in this case reduced to atoms. He looked inside and found all kind of documents and money. He sealed everything that was inside into the scroll and undid Jinjutsu, not to waste chakra, even though he got pretty much endless supply of it. And finally he planted like 20 explosive tags all around the room and in every corridor and room that he passed by on the 4th floor. 10 minutes later outside the mansion. Naruto, Kain, Kushina and Mikoto stood not so far away from 4-story building, just watching it, as if expecting something to happen any moment now. There was just silence, not even from the forest that was behind them. After couple of more minutes of silence, Naruto decided to break it. Okay girl, I think we're good to go. So let's do it on 3. Hi. 2 redhead and 1 raven-haired woman replied in union and made snake hand seal each. At READY 123 NOW. Yelled Naruto, and all 4 of them sent chakra to the explosive tags that they planted inside the building. Next thing they saw was huge explosion that ripped mansion to shreds. They all looked at the burning building in fascination, as if it was some kind of firework. After several minutes of just staring at the fire, they got bored and of course Kushina voiced that immediately. Meh, this is boring, let's head back and do something useful. And need I remind you guys that we still didn't solve the problem with all the ex-mom and ex-son relationship. Agreed came short reply from Naruto. Hi Kushi-chan, your attitude hasn't changed a bit since I last saw you. Said Mikoto, inwardly sighing. Yeah. Let's head back so we can buy all that shiny stuff that I saw in stores and also that pretty dress and ninja stuff. So many things we can buy. Squealed Kain and ran as fast as she could toward the city, leaving only cloud of dust in her place. "My god, what am I gonna do with her?" was Naruto's only and tired sign of acknowledgement of what a Kain satyr squealed. He still couldn't get used to the fact that Great Kyuubi no Kitsune is so childish, and to top it all, she is also shopaholic and a holic. Actually he could understand her desire to mate, I mean who wouldn't want to get laid after not getting any like ever, and that's considering that you lived couple of thousand years. But he couldn't understand for the life of his where did this desire to buy any and all shiny and cute things came from. But for now he just decided to go with the flow. I feel so whipped right now. 2 days later somewhere near Kurigakure no Sato equals. Group of 4 people was silently moving through the Mistian area that looked like it just rained. This people were 3 red-head Uzumakas and 1 raven-haired Uchiha, or otherwise known as Naruto Uzumaki, Kushina Uzumaki, Kain Uzumaki and Mikoto Uchiha. They arrived to the Mizu no Kuni Island of Water just yesterday. And now we're moving toward the hidden village of the said country. You know Naru-kun, I still think that you should have given those people everything you found, said Kushina God knows how many times. What Kushina was talking about were all the money and paper that Naruto stole from Gatom. When they arrived back to Wave, they just left Gatom's head in the center of the city with all the money that said midget stole from people and took off toward Mizu no Kuni, which took them roughly 1 day. But apparently Gatom had many factories and companies from where he was getting money. And Naruto, seeing the opportunity, kindly decided to take over every little thing that Gatom was working on and make it even better to gain more money in the future. But obviously Kushina didn't agree to that, and that leads us to present conversation. Kushi-chan, I told you already we will need all the money we can get if we want to build our own hidden village. Pouted Naruto. And he knew that Kushina couldn't resist it when he was doing cute things. So he took it to heart to use his deviously cute techniques to get what he wanted from his lovers. And indeed Kushina couldn't resist it and jumped into his arms and passionately on the dot, and apparently they worked out problem with their relationship on the way to Land of Water. But of course it took Kushina several test drives with Naruto to determine what her feelings were for him exactly. And it doesn't take a genius to know what they were exactly. After several minutes of walking, they suddenly stopped and just looked ahead of themselves. What made them stop was huge wall. But what really got their attention were 50 or more men standing on top of the wall, either with bows, kunais or ready to fire some jutsu. And by the look of it, half of them were Junin level shinobi. So this or lapdogs that bastard Mizukage sent to kill us. Ha. Let's show them what rebels can really do. Shouted middle-aged man from the top of the wall. As he finished last word, hundreds of projectiles and jutsus were launched at them from all over the place. And of course nobody could have described present situation better than Naruto himself. And that is what he did exactly. Well shit. Thoughts of ex-blonde as he was watching hundreds of projectiles flying at them along with several dozen of jutsu. Shinra Tensei. No. Everything will just fly back at them and we don't want that to happen. Mokuton is out of the question, last thing I need is for them to think that I am descendant of Hashirama Senju. Doten. No, they fired lightning jutsu. My god it. Yeah, that will get us on their side with ease. Imton. Gamyudama said Naruto as he formed one hand sign and expelled lava from his that formed into the sphere that surrounded him and 3 women beside him. When all projectiles and jutsus hit their target, they either bounced off from the ball that showed that sphere was made from some rubber-like material. Hey. We are not here to fight you. We came to help you win against Mizukage. Shouted Naruto from inside the sphere. How do we know that you're not lying? Screamed back some random guy. I just used Ilton. I also have bloodline, you idiot. Is it not proof enough? Well Yibu Butergoke, we believe you. Put down your defense and come with us so we could take you to our leader. We promise we won't take any hostile actions toward you. Naruto thought several minutes about it, but then sighed and silently agreed to go with them. After all, if they really decided to do something funny, he could take them out. Okay, we will come with you, but you have to take us right to the one who's in charge, cause we have something to discuss with him. After hearing shout of agreement, he let his jutsu fall and followed the rebellion group. 20 minutes later rebellion camp . When they finally arrived to their destination, Naruto was surprised, to say the least, by the view that was before him. He expected some rundown complex or some clearing with lots of tents, but he certainly didn't expect castle, which looked like it belonged to some royalty. And thus he could only stare in awe at the beautiful building, though he made no comment about it and just silently followed people who were leading them. And now they were standing in front of the big wooden double door that was locked. One of the 2 men that Naruto and his group were following knocked on the door and asked for permission to enter. After a brief silence, they heard short come in, which they noted was said by female. When doors opened, they were greeted by the sight of young woman, no older than 18, sitting behind the desk in comfy leather chair. First thing that Naruto and his companions noticed was her ankle-length auburn hair styled into a herringbone pattern at the back, a top knot tied with a dark blue band and with 4 bangs at the front. 2 bangs are short, with one covering her right eye and 2 are long, crossing each other on her chest, just below her chin. She was dressed in a long-sleeved dark blue dress that fell just below the knees. It seemed to be closed at the front with a zip and was kept open on the front right side from the waist down. The dress only covered up the upper part of her arms and the underside of her dot. Underneath, she was wearing a mesh shirt that covered more of her upper body than her dress, but stops short of covering her shoulders and still leaves a sizable cleavage. She was also wearing shorts in the same color as her dress and, underneath those, mesh leggings reaching down over her knees. Around her waist, she was wearing a belt with a pouch attached to the back on the left. Furthermore, she was wearing high-heeled sandals and shin guards reaching up over her knees. She was also wearing dark blue polish on her fingers and toes and is usually shown with dark blue tick. She had her elbows resting on her desk, fingers intervened with each other, and her chin resting on the little bridge that her arms created with each other. She had the cheerful smile on her beautiful face and equally cheerful look in her emerald eyes. Hello, my name is May Taram Plus, I welcome you to our hideout. So tell me, what reason do you have to come here? Said woman behind the desk, now identified as May. Naruto took step forward, bowed slightly, and spoke. My name is Naruto Uzumaki, woman on my right is a Kain, red head on my left is Kushina Uzumaki, and raven-haired woman is Mikoto. It is pleasure to meet you, May. As for our reason to be here, we want to assist you in war against Mizukage. May raised her left eyebrow at his statement and asked. Why would couple of strangers want to help us? You see, I am an orphan, I never knew who were parents, nor did I hear about any relatives of mine, so I was hoping that I could at least find some distant relative, seeing as I have the bloodline that came from Kiri. Though everybody missed the slight frown on Kushina's face when Naruto said that he was an orphan. Now this particular piece of information got Mei's attention. And what would that bloodline of yours be? It's Imton. As he said those two words, rebellion leader's eyes became wide, but she quickly came over her shock. Do you have any proof of that? But of course. You can ask your men about it, they personally have seen me using it, or I can simply demonstrate it to you, if you would be kind enough to provide us with training ground or some clearing where I wouldn't damage anything. Answered Naruto with daring plastered on his face. Very well. Might as well evaluate you, so I could see where you people could help out the most. So does that mean that you accept our offer to help? Asked ex-blonde with teasing smile. Mei, with amused expression, eyed Naruto and answered with same smile. We'll see. She then stood up, heading toward the exit, gesturing them to follow her. 5 minutes later, Clernic behind the castle. Group consisting of Mei, Naruto, Kushina, Mikoto and a Kain stood in front of the large clearing that was located right behind the castle that rebellions used as safe house. There were also some other people in that clearing beside them who were either training or came to observe them. Mei walked to the center of the training ground and turned to face the ground that she was going to test. So who's gonna be first? She asked with a smile that seemed too sweet. Meanwhile, certain one-eyed rebellion felt shiver run down his back. Naruto took a step forward, returning the smile, which gave Mei a good view of his sharp fangs. That. I would like to be first, if you don't mind, that is. Oh no, not at all. On the contrary, I was hoping that you would do me an honor. You look the most capable of the ground. Then shall we begin? Asked Naruto, taking one more step forward and getting into fighting stance, smirking. We shall. Replied the leader of rebellions, with matching smirk, preparing to counterattack any of her opponent's hits. But just as ex-blonde demon was about to launch himself forward, he suddenly paused, making Mei and everybody else stare at him curiously. After several seconds of standing there and not moving, his expression changed to sheepish and he started scratching his back, clearly embarrassed about something. You know, you never actually told me what are you testing me in. I mean, should I use only Taijutsu, or maybe you wanted to see some of my ninjutsu, perhaps you even wanted to see if I'm any good with ninjutsu. I just wanted to make sure. He finished with a sheepish grin on his face. Almost everybody who heard that, sweat dropped. One of the people who didn't was Kushina, who had her arms folded and was nodding sagely. Mikoto, already used to her antics, just sighed and ignored that. Kain on the other hand, raised her eyebrow and looked at her as if she was crazy. Kushina, not missing a bit, turned to face her fellow redhead. Wah, he has a point, ain't he? At this point, Kain decided to side with her raven-haired friend and ignore her. Use whatever you want to defeat me, I feel like you will need it. Answered Mei, smirking all the while. Why do I get this feeling that I just made this a lot harder for myself? Thought ex-blonde demon, as he sighed mentally. Are you sure about that? Asked Naruto, one final time. Mei, as it would seem, thought that her opponent was asked her that because she was a woman and wasn't strong enough. And with that thought in her head, she smiled oh so sweetly at the blonde demon. Yes, I'm absolutely sure. If you are, then let's begin. And to almost everybody's surprise, he said it in much deeper voice, all playfulness now gone, with no trace of it even being there. Just as he uttered those words, he started walking slowly toward the auburn-haired opponent. Seeing how serious young man in front of her become, she decided not to waste any more time and began to rapidly form hand seals one after another. Though she was surprised when Naruto started walking in her direction. She expected him to start dashing at her, using superhuman speed or something akin to that. And just she saw that he started walking of all things, as if he was on a stroll in a park, her first thought was that he mocking her, and it was exactly this thought that brought out her enraged state, causing her to form hand seals even faster than before, which most people though was impossible. Imton. Imkai no Jutsu. Exclaimed leader of rebels as she finished forming seals and released large amount of hot lava into the air, creating big sheet of lava that was falling toward. Naruto for his part didn't even take his eyes off his opponent and started forming hand seals of his own. Earth release. Rock hands, two gigantic arms made from stone, burst out from the ground on each side of Naruto and they kept moving along the red-headed demon as he walked. He pressed back of his hands together, them upward and brought them down to his sides, parting them in the air. As he did that, two enormous hands mimicked his action, but as they did it, they penetrated sheet of lava that was heading for the redhead and split it in two, allowing it to fall harmlessly to the side. He released his jutsu, causing two hands that were previously on his sides to fall to the ground, dissolving into shapeless rocks. Mei on the hand was gritting her teeth in anger, but this time, her anger wasn't directed at her opponent. No, her anger was directed at her failure. She just watched as her jutsu was swatted aside, like some would do with an annoying fly. If he is earth type, then my water jutsus are useless against him, and if I use my more destructive Imton jutsus, then somebody be caught in crossfire. No choice, I have to resort to Taijutsu. She suddenly started running in Redhead's direction, with speed that most couldn't follow, intending to show, who she thought was cocky teen, that messing with her wrong idea. Taijutsu, eh? Bad move, lady. Bad move indeed. Though smirking a Kain, all the while shaking her head in amusement, giggling a little bit, as two fought. What's so funny? Asked one of the rebels, who had an eye patch on his right eye. Several heads turned in her direction when question was asked. Even Kushina and Makoto were interested by this. Your leader chose very wrong tactics. To engage Narukun in Taijutsu is like trying to move a mountain with your breath, you just do not do that if you have any common sense. Said now chuckling a Kain. Rebels around her just scoffed at this but didn't reply, choosing to watch the events that transpired in front of them. Naruto, seeing what she was attempting to do, got almost not visible smirk and stopped walking, as if frozen in place. Just as I thought. He cast quick ninjutsu on his eyes and activated his Doijutsu, waiting for his opponent to attack. He didn't have to wait long, because mere seconds after he stopped, auburn-haired woman started mercilessly throwing kicks and punches. But to almost everybody's surprise, Naruto didn't move from his spot, instead he started blocking her every attack with just one hand, or just dodged them by leaning to the side and occasionally raising his foot in the air to avoid being swept off his feet. After several minutes of watching his opponent try to land a hit on him, he thought that he have seen enough and decided to put an end to their little match. Thanks for your time, Mei-chan, and good night. He said with a charming smile. Just as he opened his right hand shot at the speed that she couldn't follow, taking her off guard and grabbed her face, slamming her head into the ground, causing her whole body to levitate in the air for a couple of seconds. Last thing she heard before blacking out was good night, followed light thump as the rest of her body hit the ground. So are we in? Was the sentence that broke the silence, which was said by a Kain who just finished polishing her nails. Thanks for watching this video. If you really enjoy this video, like, subscribe and comment down below and turn on that bell notification. Don't forget to support and follow the Rinoti for writing that awesome fanfic, and also make sure to comment on this story link in the description. See you in the next video. Goodbye.